I guess we begin with that, right? We begin with the fact that we're no longer winless, which is, it's nice. It's nice. It beats the alternative, right? You'd rather have a win than not have a win. So we got one. I got to admit, it's not one that you're dancing in the street about. It's not the kind of win that infuses you with confidence moving forward about how things are going to play out in some of these other matchups. But it is a win. And I will say this. First of all, let's talk about this for a second. This could be an interesting week. I do not want to drum up fear, but there is obviously a very real storm. I've kind of got an analogy here to make. There's a storm brewing in real life, and I think there's one brewing in our football world too. I'll get into that in a second. But of course, we're going to do what everybody has to do regarding the real life problems of monitoring and taking precautionary steps to protect against what could be potentially a pretty ugly hurricane here. So I guess let's just play it by ear. I know, Tom, and a lot of the things that we look at to try to project on the air and to have plans being made, like which way we're headed, what we're doing, what shows are going to be when, and all that other stuff. We look at, just like everybody else does, certain models and things over the years that you've learned to kind of refine and trust people who've done a good job, who are not filled with hyperbole when it comes to all that stuff. And we're going to know more today around 2 or 3 o'clock, but it does look like, for those of you in Florida and those of you in Tallahassee and those of you in the Panhandle in general, that we may have some problems here by Thursday or Friday.
Thursday, it does seem, and like, look, we can talk about it to the, if you're a member of a City of Tallahassee Utilities or the city, you got a text earlier today about sandbag locations and about a major hurricane event potentially coming here later in the week. So the city itself is preparing the citizens for, make plans, evacuate if you need to. That comes down the line. But yeah, I think today at 2 o'clock is the first recon. See, you learn all these things. Yeah,
they go and they fly into the storm, and you get a better sense of what it is.
That's the first one. That has not happened yet. So until that happens, you have some models saying it'll be a tropical storm / category 1 as it lands, wherever it's going to land. Some say far more serious. So we'll find out as the week goes on, and bear with us as we get to the middle / latter part of the week for whatever scheduled precautions we need to take.
Yeah. So just to know that I'm aware of that, and that, those are serious things that we have to deal with. And I was typing up notes this morning about a storm brewing, and I realized, oh man, I don't know that you want to do that without prefacing it and realizing that there's this real storm brewing and that they're real life concerns as opposed to our football life that we are all immersed in this time of year. Let me start with the good stuff here. Because after a win, I think it's fair for me to start with the good stuff. And I was capable, albeit briefly, of enjoying that win. It was nice to see a win, in particular because I feel like, and I've said this on the air, even in the midst of some of my criticisms about this defense, that Josh Farmer's played hard. He really has. There's only one game where I was perturbed with his effort, and it was the Georgia Tech game. I felt like he played hard against Boston College. The rest of that defense got kind of pushed around for a lot of that game in the first half in particular. But I thought Josh played pretty well in that game. I was mad at others on that defense for that effort that night. And I thought Josh played well last week too, against Memphis. But it was good to see him rewarded for that effort with a dominating performance. He changed the game. He really disrupted everything about what Cal wanted to do. So I start with my player of the game and Josh Farmer. I think he earned it. I also was excited to see, and Pat Payton played well, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I thought Pat Payton played very well, because, well, look, I think some things helped. Josh Farmer helped him out. Darrell Jackson helped him out. That those two gentlemen in the middle were changing the game for Patrick Payton. They also changed the game for Marvin Jones Jr., who showed up for the first time this year. So that is something that I was excited to see. He was the benefactor of all of the disruption and the chaos and the havoc caused by the interior. He was able to pin his ears, and you saw that athleticism, Tom, finally take hold, and he made some plays, and maybe he gets more confident because of it. Maybe all of a sudden he begins to believe and they begin to play off of one another. These are things that legitimately you can be excited about.
Yeah, baby steps there for Marvin. And I really mean this. I'm not chiding, because now the lesson for him is, all right, your play, it's not over. The job's not done when you make the play, because his first sack is on a 3rd down. They're going for a 4th. You can't be dancing. Get back to the damn line of scrimmage, because they're going to run it. And then the second one, the ball is loose.
Get on the ball.
Instead of trying to get in the quarterback's face and tell him what you just did to him, the ball is laying next to him. Let's go make a play on it. But that is far better than, do you care?
Right.
You know, so this is moving in the right direction. I hate that you have to do this, but it is progress. You are making progress in a lot of areas, specifically on defense. But you're right. All those guys played well. Farmer led the way.
Farmer was the guy. Farmer was the guy from Jump Street. And it was good to see him dominate, good to see him really kind of change the dynamic and move the line of scrimmage. Other things on defense, they're all on defense. There's only one plus I saw on offense, and one serious plus that I saw on offense that I'll talk about in a minute. But Edwin Joseph, Quindarius Jones, here we go. So the Free Them Youngins, hashtag and the stuff that everybody's having fun with applies to more than just the offense. Obviously, it applies across the board when you're not having success. And you're seeing a real willingness from Mike and Adam and this coaching staff to give these young players on defense a lot more time. I mean, if you really want to look at it, think about who is your best linebacker right now. Well, it's Juice Cryer. And he's young. I mean, you're going to get more out of Juice Cryer. He is your best linebacker. It is kind of criminal that he didn't play against Georgia Tech. I still don't understand that.
He didn't play a ton of snaps on Saturday either.
But when he plays, he's effective. I think he should be out there more. So Cryer is a guy that when we're just circling some guys that can help you into next year and that are going to help you and beyond, those are the guys that I start to circle.
Okay, he's one of them. Look, Blake is another one. He made some mistakes in this game. He also made some good plays, too. He made some very good plays in this game.
He's only going to get better. You're right.
He set the edge with ferocity in a couple circumstances. He gets roasted in coverage once he gets too near to the line of scrimmage when he's a spy on one of those long conversions with the quarterback run.
Mm-hmm.
Jabril Rawls makes a mistake. Edwin Joseph makes a mistake. Kirkland and Hussey make a couple of mistakes. But you know what?
All of them are going to.
That's fine.
Yep.
I would rather those dudes make the mistakes.
Correct.
Let the younger players make the mistakes. And if it costs you a game, that's the price of doing business. That's the price of doing business at this point.
Because you and I have taken on the approach that this season is a wash.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't share that sentiment, you might not be as eager to let the younger guys on either side of the ball play more and more snaps as the season goes on, because those are the mistakes. And we said it at the time that you can't be a hypocrite. If you're calling for more of these young guys to play because you see the greater upside that their ability provides, which I agree with you. If you're on that train, and I am, then you have to know that there's going to be several plays throughout the course of a game, some of which might cost you said game, that they're going to make mistakes of youth, right? The mistakes of inexperience that you see with guys, or eagerness that young kids have to make an impact on the game above and beyond what their job is, right? That's going to happen. They're also, because in many cases, they're the more talented of the bunch, they're going to make more plays as well. They're going to have a greater impact on the game when they do make plays than when they're obviously, on the bench for some of the veteran players that don't make a lot of plays. So that's kind of what you have to, that goes along with it. You're along for the ride. That's what's going to happen. But Joseph and Jones and Marvin Jones Jr. and others and Hussey, like you said, all these guys have real ability. I'm excited. Kirkland, they've got a real chance to be very, very good. We've thought that for a while. They're long. They're athletic. Watching Quindarius Jones cover people, he is something, right? I'm excited about what he's going to be.
And that's something you see in practice.
Yep.
That's something that we've seen for a long time in practice when he performs at the upper end. Now, the consistency thing is with a young player, you always got to get there. But he was put on an island in some very difficult situations, and he came up roses.
Yeah.
And sometimes, technically speaking, he might be in trail. You don't love that. But that's where 6'2" makes a difference instead of 5'9" or 5'10".
Makes plays, man.
Yeah. He's got a nose for it. He got away with a hook later. I'm okay with that. Greg Reed did too once upon a time at BYU.
We're out here playing ball, man.
That's right.
This is what's going to happen. We're out here playing ball, Tom Lang.
But that is a downhill physical play. Now, if he's a junior making that mistake, I'm going to throw my hat at the television. I'm going to say, yo, man, we don't need to do that. But at his age, this is good. I'd rather see you make a mistake playing at 100 miles an hour, and a lot of those guys do. Kirkland made a couple, but he tries to come downhill and make a play and make a hit. That's nice to see.
I will deal with that all day, every day, because the season has, as I said, amounted to a wash through 4 games. Offensively, okay, a couple things here. I did like that we saw more inside zone. This gives you a chance to be a downhill running team. This gives you a chance to throw off of play action, which is what we were told DJ was here to do because of the big arm. But if you don't marry the two with actual downfield shots, it's just willy-nilly. It doesn't seem to be cohesive, right? We only had 3 passes of over 20 yards or more, right? I mean, that's it. You've got to take more shots down the field, in my opinion. Now, that said, I also wouldn't start DJ ever again. I don't see a thing that tells you he should be the starter of this team. I see a lot of lost opportunities, missed opportunities. The RPO game is dreadful to watch right now because he doesn't either see it or honestly, Tom, judging by all the hitches and how slow he is to get the ball out, I think his brain's telling him that that's the right play and he doesn't trust it. And what is that? That's confidence. That's a lack of confidence. I don't think he has any confidence to speak of.
I think some of that is also, it's a lot about his veteran presence and, you should be able to fight through that, fight past that.
You'd hope.
But when you see, blocks being whiffed on routinely, like you're afraid of a pick six going the other way. If your receivers aren't maybe breaking off the way they should consistently, you're afraid that they're not going to be in the right spot. I think it all blends as one. But the problem is there are so many large mistakes being made that you'd rather, if you're the same thing about the defensive conversation, if you're going to make those mistakes, be 19 or 20 years old making those mistakes.
Or
have a guy
go ahead.
Who's out there that's that age making those mistakes.
Because you were going to have to do that anyhow, but the reason you brought DJ in was so that you wouldn't have to go through the things you're talking about trying to avoid. So what is the point?
Yeah.
The other part of this is...
with 3 losses on the ledger.
Right. Yeah. Well, and buddy, and this is the other part of that dark storm that's coming. You can't... Well, nothing about what we're seeing with that works right now, with the run-pass option. All right, I'm not talking about the read option. That's a different thing, which if you bring, by the way, if you end up bringing Brock in, you're going to have to run that. And I would think he can do that. Anybody can read an end or whoever it is you decide to read, but you can do that. It shouldn't be too difficult. And if he keeps, he's going to get positive yardage on this stuff.
Well, it's usually a triple. Usually you have a bubble outlet with that too.
There's a lot of options and things that you can do if, in fact, you are a threat to keep. If you are a threat that if you keep, you can gash. And that's the other part of this is that when DJ does keep, it's a different deal. He's also not just doing the math pre-snap.
Correct, but I think also the failures to throw the ball down the field and complete it, also it's self-fulfilling because now your opponent's going to tee off on the RPO, on the run itself, and the quarterback keep, even though he's slow, they're all in the box.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe, and they also know that if they're in a one-on-one, let's say it's 2-on-2 on the outside, right? We're going to win because I see on film that they can't block on the perimeter. So I'm not assigning extra bodies out there.
They come like a bat out of hell is what they do.
They don't have to think twice.
No.
So if a defense gets to play fast and free, when you're at the decision point, that also, it's self-fulfilling. It's all feeding upon itself here, and a lack of mobility would hurt the equation also, beyond the failures.
And the lack of confidence and the inability to pre-snap, do the read.
All correct.
Yes. Yeah. Count. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. Some of this is math.
Well, some of them are just bad throws too. Like, there's a drive.
Add to the ledger.
Yeah, with about 3 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the second quarter, you've got a seam shot to Morlock that he turns down for a quick out to Benson.
Morlock would have dropped it.
It's one he did later. He did drop that later.
Mm-hmm.
But the throw is so off that you only gain 1 on the play. You're going to gain 4 if you go to Benson, maybe 5. Or if you hit the seam, you're going to gain more. And then the next play, he throws it out of bounds over Benson's head, and Morlock is in front of him, probably 5 feet in front of him, and open, and the linebacker is 3 steps behind him. So that you want to throw stuff when stuff like that happens because that's 2 awful decisions or misses in a moment where you're going to be ahead of the chains. And then what happens next play? It's a dime to Jaylen Brown on 3rd down, and you move the chains in that situation. And it's just when there might be an opportunity to make a move, 3rd down DJU, who started the game with an awful interception that most NFL quarterbacks would get benched for immediately. It's 3rd and long. Guys, it's 3rd and long. What's the one thing you can't do in that situation? Even if you take a sack, we're getting 3 points on this possession.
Of course.
The one thing you cannot do is make that throw. But from that point on, he makes enough 3rd down throws that I think he continually is saving his job in those moments.
And they scored 14 points against Cal.
Agreed.
And there's nothing that you can argue in favor of DJ right now. It's not personal. I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's not trying. I don't think, it's not none of that stuff. It's just, he wasn't brought in to do what we're trying to do right now. And it hasn't worked for him in any way. They can't block it up either. So this continues to upset you. I will say, again, they won the game. And they played great defense in order to win that game. They also got, especially early, a little something out of the running game. And they had a lot of the stuff that we were hoping we'd see. I mentioned inside zone, but they had the end around where they're trying to make they're trying to keep Cal honest. A lot of teams, they haven't had to be honest. So you have that little end around off of it, that jet motion. You have all that stuff that you're incorporating, and then you ran the ball a few times off of that in between the tackles, and you gained positive yards. And Lawrence Toafili, who is your best running back right now, finally got to see the effing ball. It's driven me nuts that we want to rotate the world back there when you have an effective leader who's played a ton of football. He gets 16 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, hallelujah, Lawrence Toafili. Listen, I'm sure at some point all of those other running backs may do you proud. But you got a guy who's been here forever, and he's earned it, and he's being productive when he gets an opportunity, and that's rare in this offense. We haven't seen that. So I sure would like to see that continue this week against SMU.
I think he was kind of forced into it in the first half because Roydell was unavailable for the game, and then Cam Davis goes down. So in that moment, I think the rotation got shrunk. They did put Singleton out there in certain circumstances, and he gets kind of screwed on one play by lack of execution. You might have been able to hit something there. But yes, the approach was to get a hat on a hat. And man, if you watch in those circumstances where they don't run counter, they did okay at counter this game because it was a counter punch to something else.
It was a complete counter punch to what they were doing, yes.
If you're watching the split zone they do or the straight ahead stuff that they're doing, you're seeing a surge with a fair level of consistency, which is nice to see. A surge where our helmets are into not quite the linebacker level, but a yard or two back of where the ball starts. You're driving them backward more than a fair amount when you use that specific concept. Hopefully they fall in love with that a little bit more.
Yeah, right now when you watch this offense, that was the one bright spot. It happened for the first time this year where they consistently had a little bit of success. Not a ton, a little bit of success of running the football. Maybe that buoys them. Maybe they build upon that and try to throw eventually off of play action because of it, which is what they wanted to do before the season began, which was what this whole offense was going to be, which is why we're wringing our hands when we see all that outside zone stuff. All that counter stuff, the slow developing plays. This would be, and you can, listen, they've incorporated the screen game all year long. Some of that screen game should be more successful. We have all those drops over the first few games, or else it would have really worked out. But if you're gonna run, and you're going to have the opportunity, I get the inside zone stuff, and you're going to run some screens, and then you want to have that RPO included in that. He doesn't run the RPO worth a damn. You might have an inkling of an offense or something developing here. Not much, but I think you could probably build upon this in the SMU game because their defense isn't very good at all. The problem is moving forward when you play real teams that are going to shut all of this stuff in the run game down, and they are going to murder you. This is going to be an ugly, ugly time for Florida State. The offense is already ugly. I'll go back through and document some of these numbers, but I'm here on a Monday to warn everybody to buckle up, because where this is headed is disastrous. And I remember sensing this and feeling this before. You remember it very well. The year that we went to Louisville and played Lamar Jackson, and every sign pointed to me of a complete and utter meltdown. And I see similar things if we continue to stick down this path, and it's going to be even worse because it's going to be at home. And it's what Clemson's about to do to us. What's going to happen in that game, and then don't forget what Miami wants to do and what they're fully capable of as of right now. We'll talk about these things. We'll look ahead to SMU as well. We'll take a good look at the rest of the country and what happened, obviously, in the NFL as well. But I'm fairly concerned, to say the least, about what I think is about to happen when we get into, actually playing good teams. When we actually turn the corner and have to play good teams, what's going to happen because this defense, unfortunately, is really working their ass off and getting to a place where you can feel good about them. That'll all go away if this offense can't move the ball in the slightest. And some of these numbers offensively are staggeringly bad. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Get excited about your home design with Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, where you can discover an incredible selection of lighting fixtures, exceptional furniture, and unique decor for any style and any home. At Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, you'll get the chance to consult with one of our design representatives to curate the perfect space to fit your home and lifestyle. Visit Tallahassee Lighting and Decor today. Proud sponsor of Patty's Playhouse, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Find out more at tallylighting.com. That's tallylighting.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Hey there, fellow RV enthusiasts. Is your AC blowing nothing but hot air? Well, down here in the Sunshine State, it's hotter than a jalapeno in August with a ghost pepper sitting on its base. But don't worry, because Florida Georgia Mobile RV Repair is here. We bring the cool to you. Whether you're parked at the beach, camped out in the woods, or just in your driveway, our expert techs will roll up and have you chilling faster than an ice cold sweet tea. So beat the heat and call 850-210-4244 or visit FloridaGeorgiaMobileRV.com and let us come to you. That's FloridaGeorgiaMobileRV.com.
Pinch A Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number two, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number three, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I know I'm supposed to talk right now. I haven't even put my headphones back on. I'm double-checking this W's and L's record. Did I go 5-5 again? Or did I go 6-4?
It's up on the screen.
What was the final? I know BYU beat the brakes off of Kansas State, but what was that, 38 to what? 38 to 9?
Hang on.
What was that total? What did I send you?
49 was the total.
So, hey, that's a win for me. It was under 49. So that's under 49 by a point, right?
So you might have gone 6-4.
I think I went 6-4.
Wow.
It's happened.
How about that?
Good God, guys.
Pay me, Martha. 10 cents.
We had a winning week after successive 500 weeks out the gates. So we're a game above 500. A couple games above 500. All right. We build upon this, Tom. We take it into next week. We learn from our mistakes. We add some of the things that we know now are true and get rid of the things we're not doing well. So, I told you I had a good feel for this Illinois team all year long. Came through big time there. Should have bet them outright.
Yeah,
they get the win. Feel good about that one. I had some personal life wagers I could have gone with here. I really felt good that Iowa was going to crush Minnesota, and I didn't include it for some reason, and they did. Just got to trust what I'm seeing. Let it go. Trust what you see and let it go, Tom. Trust what you see. Seth, linebacker play being a hot topic. That stop on 3rd and 2 by Riley was a thing of beauty. Saw it, triggered, hammered. Yeah. Early in the game, I thought Cam Riley was really good. Listen, I go back to something here.
A quick key on that play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were going with some tempo, and we were late on a lot of tempo in that game, unfortunately, but we got around the ball enough. Grady Kelly makes the play there. Grady Kelly with an absolute win to pave the lane for the linebacker to come up and make the play. It looked like they were going to go for it initially on 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, then they end up punting. But how about 90 in that moment? They had started to rotate on the defensive interior, and while he doesn't get a lot of shine for the amount of pressures we had, 28 pressures, most since the ACC championship game last year.
7 sacks.
12 tackles for loss.
Correct.
But big play in that moment to get off the field made by Grady Kelly. So that's how it worked.
Yeah, really, if you're going to have a positive conversation about Florida State football right now, it is going to begin and end with the defense. Which, again, I'm not going to tell you that I think they're an elite defense, but they've played well enough for us to easily be 3-1. And so, it's hard to get on them right now when we're looking at when we're looking at what this offense is. I have no choice. We could spend 3 hours. We could spend 3 hours of how impossibly bad this offense is. It disturbs me because I like Mike, and I think he's a good coach, but there's so much that's broken right now that it's very, very upsetting. You can't look at this product and be anything but disgusted offensively. And I bring this up again. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. This was not. I saw somebody in the chat bring up a hot take part of this. No, there's no hot take here. I'm just, for the people that are only casually following, I'm trying to let them know that what's coming down the pike when you play Clemson and Miami is god-awful ass kickings. I'm not talking about casual ass kickings. I'm talking about the kind of ass kickings that, strike at the core of a program and the kinds of things that make you wonder, we're suddenly not close. Like, I think that's what we're looking at in a couple of these games. You are 126th in scoring offense. The only Power 4 team you're ranked ahead of right now is Houston. You're averaging 15 points a game. That's better than only 8 teams in the entire country. You're dead last in the ACC by 8 points per game. That's light years. I mean, you're the next best is 8 points a game better than you. Of the teams in the ACC that have also played 4 games, you're dead last there too. You haven't played Miami, Clemson, Louisville. Instead, you've played Georgia Tech, who just got smoked by Louisville. You played Memphis, who just got destroyed by Navy, and who, by the way, had a quarterback run for 211 yards on a grand total of 12 attempts and 4 touchdowns. You've played Boston College and now Cal. Boston College appears to be a pretty decent team. You're 83rd in points per drive. That's behind Western Kentucky. That's behind East Carolina. It's behind Buffalo. It's behind Northwestern's god-awful offense. It's behind Iowa's god-awful offense. It's behind anybody that has a pulse. You're 103rd in drive success rate. Drive success rate measures drive successes, percentage of drives that end with a field goal or a touchdown. All right, you're 103rd in that. I can keep going. I think they were 38% success rate, which is 120-something in the country. By any discernible measure, whether it is your classic statistics, like you go to the NCAA.com page and just look at what you are, or by any of the other stuff, if you go to Game on Paper, you go anywhere else to look up other ways of assessing what an offense is or is not. Florida State is putrid. across the board. They don't do anything well on offense. Not a single thing on offense through 4 games do they do well. They don't run it well. They don't pass it well. We know they don't block it up, and we know they don't hit big plays. There's nothing they do well. And that is shocking. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. It shouldn't exist at a place like Florida State. Mike knows offensive football, but Mike is failing right now. And there's no way to get around that. There's no nice way to put that. This is a miserable failure through 4 games on offense. If there were more damning words, I would search for them.
That you could use?
That I could use.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I could keep going. I just listed off the first 9 stats I looked at this morning when I got up, started preparing for the show. And I was just like, well, let's see what they are in this. All right, let's look at advanced measures. Okay, let's look at drive success. All right, I just kept going over and sweet Jesus, it got more and more and more depressing. And some of these, Tom, and I know what you're going to say, but I'll throw this in there too. Many of these are opponent adjusted.
Oh, no, yeah.
You can all look at opponent adjusted.
What, like I'd be bragging about the opponents we took on? Well, Jeff, they've faced murderer's row of defenses. The problem is that there's also obviously a crisis of confidence too, because it does start well. Even with a 3 and out, it starts well because you're in the early part of the second quarter, you're closing in 140, 150 yards. So you're on pace for somewhere between 300, 400 yards of offense, something that would make us all exhale a little bit. But one holding call on Ferguson as you're going in to go up 14-0, short circuits everything, and then you throw the unforgivable interception.
Yes, and it's because
DJ largely takes care of the ball. That is awful. Like that is an impossibly bad interception. You cannot have that in that situation. You have taken points off the board, but you were inside the 10-yard line and a hold, which, look, man, I'm not trying to blame the refs for our failures on offense. His hands are inside the kid. He goes down awkwardly, but his hands are placed where they are supposed to be placed. What the hell? But it shouldn't be that one of those things happens and then you put up another 130 yards for the rest of the game. That is the hard part.
We quite literally went a couple of hours, like if you were in the stands, a couple of hours without seeing this team score.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I want to curse at the top of my lungs. It is unreal.
If you optimize everything we did, you can find 24 points. If you optimize everything that we did. That would be a 4th down decision to kick for 56 yards, and it would be that you actually punch it in because that holding call doesn't, go against you in that moment. You're staring at 24 points. Now, it would have been plenty to win the game, and you'd be in a rocking chair setting, but the optimization thing usually looks like 42 or 45 or 35 or 38.
Of course. I mean, this is like, I find us reaching for like crumbs. We're just, well, if this happened and you were able to do this and you didn't commit that penalty and he didn't drop that pass, and if DJ saw this and got it out sooner, or we made this block, we might have scored 24 points. That is tough to say out loud.
The thing that frustrated me, it's a little bit more inside baseball stuff, but they went back to counter a lot. And they were getting 4s and 5s a fair amount on Saturday. But you had explosive runs, more often. You had chances for explosive runs when you tried split zone or you went straight ahead. And the thing I'm concerned about is if you're going to die on the counter hill for the game that you're talking about, then nothing's going to happen. Nothing good can happen. You have to go straight ahead and hope that you can impose your will a little bit more. I think you've got a better chance of doing that against the Clemson than you do running counter.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and if they run counter, they're going to get blown up and destroyed, and this game will get out of hand very quickly. You saw how quickly it got out of hand against NC State, where what Clemson did was drop 28 points in the first quarter. The kid at quarterback, Cade Klubnik, has figured it out and is oozing confidence and making play after play after play. And their offensive line is blocking well. That defensive line is elite. People have it in their mind because they saw Clemson get blown out by Georgia, which has been a common result for Clemson against Georgia, or anybody for the most part, I guess not named Kentucky, against Georgia. All right. But the truth is that Clemson team, and that was only one bad half. That was the second half where they were exhausted because they couldn't move the ball, and they were hanging in there for an entire half against Georgia. By the way, Georgia's yet to give up a touchdown this year to anybody. So, again, you'll forgive their struggles. I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm not doing this to prop up Clemson. My point is...
Sounds like it. Sounds like you are a turncoat, and it sounds like instead of calling him Wuhan, Dabo, you call him your friend.
Well,
that's what it sounds like to me.
What I'm calling out is Clemson's good, like straight up good. And they'll be pissed off about what happened last year when they roll in here. And we have this putrid, as I said earlier, offense to try to counter what they have rolling right now, which is a lot of belief, a lot of confidence, and plenty of talent. And that adds up to potentially in your own backyard some sort of 55-7 type result. Trying to recruit is hard enough right now for Florida State. And then when you go down south, and they're hanging 50 on everybody down in Miami right now, that they just destroyed a decent USF team.
We don't play them this week, though. That's
no,
the good news.
We sure don't. We sure don't. And I would like to, really relax and enjoy a win. But when I watch this offense play, A, I'm sick to my stomach, and B, I don't see anything that they can hang their hat on and believe is going to continue to get better and better and better. Now, SMU's defense is not good. So maybe you find a little something again on the heels of the mild success you had this weekend, especially early, right?
Yeah, there was tempo in there.
In the run game and the tempo, we got out of his headset and we started going. Yes, I agreed. Maybe it happens again on the road at SMU. And who knows? Confidence is a fickle thing. I agree. I think physically they got some issues they're not going to be able to overcome. But if they play with some confidence and belief what they're doing on offense and the defense continues to play well, perhaps you're able to mitigate the sizable ass kicking that I'm projecting against Clemson in Miami and Notre Dame. I hope. It's my sincere wish. I hate it for those kids. I hate it. I don't know what's more disappointing that, some of the guys that they were investing in and hoping, would lead them to another great season on the heels of last year have become, punchlines for the fans or that aren't, obviously proving to take steps forward. Like you have veteran players that have taken steps backwards. That's damning for your coaching staff. That's tough to take. You've had some injuries to boot. The quarterback is in less than an ideal situation, but he doesn't help himself very much either. So you have a lot of things that you're disappointed by. But I think the most disappointing thing I feel right now is in my head coach, that we've arrived at this place, that it could look like this. He's an offensive head coach. I would like to be able to say, well, there ain't no well.
Well, what I can do for you is I can't give you a pint glass of optimism, but I can give you a ketchup cup. I could take a ketchup cup and fill just a little bit of optimism. There are at least some things that they'll review on film today. Well, they already have.
Yeah.
Where they'll say, "Ooh, that seems to work better than what we've been trying to do." Whereas I would have told you after the Memphis game, the offense has no pulse. It has a faint one. You can at least observe one at this point. Now, what do they do with it? I think that is what SMU is all about. That's what this game is all about, is give me something. Are you going to take that faint pulse and turn it into something a little bit more robust? Or are we going to revert back to some of the same old stuff and you're not going to see growth? I saw growth. I would rather see productivity, but I saw growth last week. I'm hoping that you take another step forward against SMU. There's an opportunity to be productive against SMU.
There is.
To feel more confident about yourself against SMU. But if you're doing it running the same old stuff and SMU's just not good enough to stop it, then you're not going to teach yourself anything and be ready for the Clemson challenge. So I agree with you. There is a problem on the horizon. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is they at least have proof to review and say, maybe we like this better. Maybe I like this thing better. And we'll see if they expand on it this week.
I like that effort you just gave.
It was a ketchup cup.
That's a nice effort. DJ still playing quarterback in this review?
I didn't say it was a corner pocket shot glass. I said it was a ketchup cup.
Tried and True Consulting is a payments and business solutions company owned by fellow Knowles, Don and Joe. They've just welcomed Rusty into the fold. These guys are kicking ass here in Tallahassee and all over the state of Florida. As Knowles business owners, they're committed to reducing costs, increasing your bottom line, and they'll give back 10% of their net revenue to the battle's end. So you're going to want to hit the trifecta today. Scan that QR code. Call Alumni's Don or Joe, 844-464-6653. Ask about the ad board campaign that they got going now as well. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Woodville 10-year-old is facing a felony charge after his father turned him in Thursday for threatening to shoot up McCullough High School. The child's arrest comes after a school resource officer was alerted about a social media threat around 4 p.m. Wednesday by Wakulla High staff. A high school student reported that he had participated in a Snapchat conversation with an unidentified person who stated, "Yes, I'm finna shoot up your school. It's y'all's last day." Law enforcement spent that day and early Thursday morning investigating to identify the source and location of the threat. A school resource officer and FDLE special agents made contact with the 10-year-old at his home in Leon County and interviewed him. Deputies informed school officials that there was not a threat to the school and that the 10-year-old would be charged. The child's father turned him in on Thursday. The news comes after a slew of arrests were made within the past 2 weeks in connection to local school threats since the shooting at Appalachia High School. This is Rachel Anae with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 93. East winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows around 72. Daytime highs approaching 91 tomorrow. Bright sunshine expected. 87 Wednesday with a chance of thunderstorms. 79 Thursday, chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 92.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Maybe there's a chance, Tom, that Mike Norvell will exhale today, frustrated from the press conference today when he met with everybody and gets asked questions about his quarterback.
He was frustrated.
Of course. Maybe he goes and he decides he wants a break and he's just going to flip around and watch highlights of the NFL, and he goes, well, this Andy Dalton guy is something else. Where'd this guy come from? Well, they had to make a change, coach. They changed their starting quarterback. He was failing them miserably, leaving points on the field every Sunday. They really couldn't accomplish much at all. Bunch of screens. A little bit in the RPO game, not much. You don't say. Yeah, they brought in Andy Dalton. He's never been great, but he does throw the ball down the field with accuracy. He's kind of tough in the pocket. He'll get rid of the football. Seems to see it a little better. Well, I saw where they won. Carolina won on the road. Looked good even. Yeah, it happened. They did. They made a change of quarterback, and it worked out for them. They looked like a different franchise. Maybe that'll happen in Mike's office. And then whoever that conversation was with will leave. They'll shut the door, and they'll think, okay, the seeds have been planted. We timed it up on the DVR just right for Mike to walk in and see the Andy Dalton highlights. Did you see him yesterday? He was awesome.
I did.
He was dropping dimes everywhere.
Doing what he does.
I was just like, well, look at Andy. Look at the Red Rocket out here.
And about 2 weeks from now, he'll be awful.
Yeah.
But this is what he does.
Everything he does is better than what Bryce Young does. So I would just go ahead and ride it out at this point. I don't know, man. I don't know. You don't get a sense any change is coming at the quarterback position. And here's the problem with that, by the way. And of course, I'll reiterate over and over again, it's not all his fault. But this offense doesn't function well with him as the starting quarterback, and this is where it begins. You got to start somewhere. I'd start with benching his ass. But the other part of that, Tom, is that if you don't bench him this week going to SMU, well, then you're screwed because you're not going to they should do an investigation if they bench him after this week and start Brock against Clemson. Can you imagine how cruel? People will be like, he must hate that kid. He decided to give him 4 hours notice before playing Louisville, and then he threw him to the Wolves with none of his starters against Georgia, and then he just decided, we'll start him against Clemson, and we can't block him. I'd be like, Mike has a personal vendetta against Brock Glenn if he does it. That's what that would be. So you either do it now or you don't do it.
Agreed. Even if it's, you ease him in and you split series, like something. I did go back and watch the game again today ahead of this, and there's still some more of the same where you're saying, man, a lot of people letting DJ down. But the problem is DJ's mistakes this game, I thought, even beyond the interception, his mistakes were worse than they've been before. Like some of the mistakes that have been made before, you can point to and say, I'm hedging here. It could be this guy. Maybe the depth of this was wrong. There are things that he just didn't see. And it's not just the one. I mean, I put out a tweet of one decision where you've got leverage and you got numbers. It's after he hitched Ja'Kai over the middle on that kind of hope-looking pass on the third and long.
You got lucky. Just say it.
Probably,
but very lucky.
But you don't see the tight, so I don't know for sure. But on the next play, you've got numbers. Let the ball go. And I've got it to where it looks like he hands it off. But what happens is he keeps the ball, and you take 1 step and 2 steps, and you're just like, bro, throw the ball, my man. Let it go. There's a couple other things, too, that where he misses or he doesn't let it go, you're just like, these mistakes can't happen because the margin is so slim. It's so hard for us to score points that when you make a mistake, the mistake is magnified because nothing else is going right, but you're making the mistake. Like that interception is a career killer in the NFL. That's worse than chipping the bricks with the guy open in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah, because you have points, and points are really hard to come by for this offense.
Oh, my God.
You have to secure – it's like securing a profit.
Yes.
You got to secure the points, my man. Whatever you do, you can't throw a pick here.
So there are a few times where it almost looks like he's guessing, and that's the problem. That's the problem. You're not seeing, a through line from Georgia Tech to now and say he's getting better.
No,
At best, you can argue he's exactly the same, at best. But you might be able to argue more convincingly that it's gotten worse since Georgia Tech to this point, for him specifically as a player. And that, man, it's a third of the season is gone. You can't play those games over again. It's gone. It's in the past.
It's why I brought up all those numbers. We're having this conversation after 4 games. Think about it this way. Think about it. I was just thinking about this while we're talking. You brought up a quarter of the season. Okay. So if I'm in a room and I'm trying to push the right buttons as a coach with this team, and I'm with my other coaches, and we're talking about this miserable failure of a season right now, and we know we still have 8 games that we have to coach up, and we got to get something out of. We got to extract the most out of this team that we can. We know they're not going to win anything of any significance, but we do care about winning, and we do care about building for the future. We do care about the kids that are going to be here next year. We have all these things we have to consider, right? Which kids are we going to redshirt? Do we want to play more of these kids than those kids? And what do we, all right, what gives us the best chance maybe in this situation? If you're talking out loud, somebody on the defensive side, whether it's Adam Fuller or Sertan or whomever, is going to say, well, I'm really excited about Quindarius Jones. And you'd go, yeah, me too. He's playing well. Let's put that in the positive column and we'll vet this. And you'd write it down. He makes a lot of mistakes and he's a little immature, but I really think the upside of Edwin Joseph is great. Yeah, me too. He frustrates me a little bit, but he can do some things for you. And I think down the line, he's going to become more consistent.
Yeah, well, it's a net positive.
Correct.
He plays with confidence.
Oh, and passion and speed. Yeah. And yeah. So you're going to write that in, Tom. You're going to be like, okay, gotcha. Well, up until this past Saturday, I really didn't see much from Marvin Jones Jr., but maybe this gives him a little something, and you do see the physical freak side of him. So put him in that category, too, if we can find a way to bring it out of him more often, What's his name on the defensive line? Daniel Lyons. He's played well. You know what? He's playing well. We've got somebody for the future. I like what he's done so far this year. Write him up there on the positive side. And you're going to keep doing that, and the more you do it, the more you're going to come across a lot of young players that you've decided to give a chance to because of the way the season started. When you go on the offensive side of the ball, I think Jaylen Brown's going to be a good player for you. I really do. I'd write him in. I think he's going to be a very good player for you. And he's somebody you brought in the portal. And I think you probably got it right. He's got
Davis will be good.
Yeah, he will. I don't need him out there as much as they're trying to get him out there these days. But okay, I get it. All right. Only because what we saw in practice, which these days you're not allowed to bring up, but I thought Landon Thomas looked like he was a player that's going to really do positive things for you. So anyhow, you're going through all these. Eventually we think Otto will be a good player, whatever. How then do you not decide guess we kind of need to see what we got in the quarterbacks of the future?
Well, I think you've got a decision here. You're either going to make the move to have a committee at worst, if not an outright change this weekend, or you wait till after Clemson and you go Duke first start, Duke, Miami, North Carolina. That's
well, good Lord, you definitely want those
before Clemson or after Clemson, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's either this weekend or you wait till after that.
I'd start now. I wouldn't waste my time. I'd start now. But he's not. I don't think he's going to. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pots. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossing. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
Homeowners, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I want to talk to you today about consolidating your debt. Are you struggling with your monthly expenses? Consumer spending and overall debt are reaching all-time highs, while homeowners are sitting on trillions of dollars in untapped equity in their homes. Don't be afraid to walk away from that 2% mortgage while you're paying double-digit interest rates on credit cards and lines of credit and drowning in debt. Let's talk about how we can consolidate your debt, lower your overall monthly payments, and potentially save you thousands of dollars in the process. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, 954-369-6171. And this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I'm at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
A Monday Night Football doubleheader today, and the Jacksonville Jaguars will have the early kickoff against the Buffalo Bills. It's 5.5-point road underdogs with a total of 45.5. Trevor Lawrence last week, 220, no touchdowns, no picks, sacked 4 times, and a loss to the Cleveland Browns. This week, his over-under passing prop bet, 226.5 yards, 1.5 touchdowns, shaded to the under, minus 180. In the other Monday night game, the Bengals a 7-point home favorite against the Commanders. College football Saturday, Florida State a 4.5-point road dog at the SMU Mustang. Bundle and save with Progressive. Progressive.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
The holidays are coming, and Lowe's is here to help you get ready. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $75 on select cooking appliances, $899 or more. And get even more of an interior refresh with up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery. Because Lowe's knows holiday hosting. Valid through 10/16. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Roofing and construction services. Please bar construction.com. We conquer all creeks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-1340. Please Bark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. Please Bark construction.com.
CCC 1331204.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit. Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
show. If you're driving about Tallahassee today, thanks for listening. We always appreciate it. Listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio. And if you're watching on Warchant TV, we appreciate that too. See this, Tom? You got one in there. I think you've got the one that I would want.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think you have the one that I would want. But here's there you go, buddy.
Oh, look at that.
I know. And
you don't want the verse?
I love Jared, and I was the first person to interview him when he came to Tally.
You don't like singing in verse, huh? There you go.
It's all documented. All the COA stuff that you need is on there, and all your little brick, and you got the autograph from verse. Obviously, we're going to have to sell the bejesus out of these things to generate an offense, I think. We're going to have to end up selling more. Like we do it during the breaks. We always laugh. We always have the battles in, brick promotion going on there. But I wanted somebody to see it. I wanted somebody to see the Doak Campbell Stadium brick along with the sign, Jared. But you got the Peter Warwick one.
That's fine. I'll trade you.
Yeah, I want the Peter Warwick one.
Fair enough.
PW's my man. Plus, I talked to him last year. Remember at the Hotel Indigo?
I talked to him as well.
Yeah.
That was a good day at Hotel Indigo. I got to tell him thanks for getting my math test postponed because my teacher got wasted.
After the 99 national championship victory?
He goes, kids, Mr. D had a big night last night. And so we're going to watch a movie today. The test is going to be tomorrow. Thank you, Peter Warwick.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
You had to love that, right? It could be worse around here. In North Carolina today, they're asking Mac Brown to resign. Fan base is rightfully a little upset about a record-breaking day. James Madison out here with 46 at the half.
He's only one guy. How did he do it?
Oh, my Lord. And, I mean, there's other stuff out there. I did like that TCU got trolled after their loss because they were making fun of the ACC for being on the CW, and then they get housed. And I saw somebody tweeted, thank goodness it was only on the CW, TCU fans probably. That's pretty well done.
I think the ACC was the one that put it out there.
Well done, ACC.
A little bit of sass.
Well done. Auburn's a mess. They're benching the quarterback, Jackson Arnold at OU. Yeah, there's a lot of problems around the world of college football.
Should have told you that was coming.
Yeah, me too.
I'm telling you, now that game's over and we've seen us play Cal and us beat Cal, do we all understand now how bad Auburn is? I mean, my God.
I could say the same thing about Memphis, Tom. Whom neither you nor I thought were very good.
Ooh, I thought the trenches were there for the taking, buddy.
Well, they were, and Navy pounced on it.
They did.
Navy.
Their ship came in.
Come get you some, Memphis. We'll beat you about the head and neck and do whatever we want. Quarterback carrying 12 times for 200-plus yards and 4 touchdowns. Get out of here. That is ridiculous. But alas, we bring it back home, where I do think the defense is playing better. That's nice to see. I do wonder if that continues, because if this offense continues to fail, they won't.
The interesting thing is I thought they did a better job. Were they perfect? No, they had some of the same mistakes that they're making in terms of communication, but a lot better job, a lot fewer of those mistakes.
Far fewer.
Communicating through motion, things like that. Where they got beat in this circumstance, a lot of coverages. They got beat in a lot of coverage situations, which maybe it's because they haven't gotten a lot of reps. They haven't needed to, but there was, third and longs obviously are killer. The fourth and long.
That'll hurt your feelings.
How about the head coach just being all-in machine from his own goal line? He didn't run the ball once with a 1st and 10 from inside his 5.
They also did not utilize number 10 and 87 as much as they should have.
I was surprised by that. Now, 10 got free more than 87 did, but I think 87's first catch was in the second half. Now, 10 beat Nicholson in a one-on-one on the outside early in the ball game.
Yes, he did.
On a deep ball.
Uh-huh.
And that's a tough matchup, though. That kid is a hybrid. That's a player.
By the way, though, this week we're bitching about coaching.
Digest.
But can you look at if you're a Cal fan today, you're looking at your Cal coach going, we're just not going to run the wheel after we've seen every team in America take advantage of Florida State on this?
I only saw it a couple of times, one of which we didn't switch. We didn't pass off, and Joseph stayed with his man. That's the throw to the front pylon, and he was in phase. He was in position.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go, 33. Good job.
It was enough to scare him away.
What was crazy to me is their split zone is something that puts us in conflict in a way that you would think they'd run a lot of it. They didn't run a ton of it. It was great. We ran more split zone. Our first drive, we ran split zone. I'm like, whoa, is this like what the band does when they play the fight song for the visiting team that comes in? I'm like, are we just tipping our cap over to Cal and saying, yeah, we know your offense. We watched it. We ran some stuff that looked exactly like what they do.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, in the end, I guess that's the point I wanted to make when I came in today was we've got a real ugly situation developing in the next few weeks if they don't find a way to build on whatever minor successes they had this past weekend on offense in the run game in particular. That the inside zone stuff allows you to be a more hat on the hat, straight ahead group, which I think at the end of the day, if you're going to continue to play DJ, which I would not, I see so many yards left out on the field, so many plays left out on the field. 1 second, it's an inaccurate throw. The next second, it's a terrible read. The next second, it's a terrible pre-snap. The next second, it's a drop, or it's just really slow. It's late. Everything is late. It's a wind-up. He is slow as hell. There's just I can't see it. I just don't know why Mike wants to continue to go back to that. I'm not telling you Brock is coming in and saving the day, because this offensive line isn't good. And, it's an offensive line that's not good and banged up. So you have a real, you have a dilemma on your hands. I mean, you got a dilemma on your hands here that I don't think changes dramatically with a change at quarterback, but I think it gives you a fighting chance.
But he had time plenty on Saturday. And what's interesting to me is, again, when they get away from the gap stuff and the counter, you see surge, you see physicality, you see them using their mass and driving people backward. And then on the counter stuff, you see them sizing up the angle and thinking and looking at their tracks. And it's almost like they're accepting their mark rather than just being men and driving them. And I know that that's part of it. That's part of the scheme. But you can also be physical and run a dude over with that scheme. And we don't typically do it. And then you just see some head-scratching stuff where you're like, how do you not know that's the rule? Because the second time, for example, I could ask Dominic maybe, and he'd say that, he's supposed to turn the guy loose. I don't think so. The second time we run the end around, Jackson West literally looks at an unblocked defender right in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They are helmet to helmet, and he jukes him, and he gets out the way to go lead block on the perimeter, and that's the guy who stops Jakai on the second end around when we lose whatever it is, 5-6 yards. All you got to do is just breathe on the dude, even a glancing blow, and you've got 8 yards or more in that situation. But I'm not just picking on Jackson. That happens for individual players consistently enough. We had a second down call, I think it was the second half, where we've got routes on the left side. Hakeem releases into a route and panics and comes back to block.
Yeah.
So he releases, he's 3 steps into whatever, and he turns around and says, oh, my assignment is to come back and block. Communication issues, the little things like that just keep rearing their heads.
Yeah, the stuff, when I keep advocating for Brock, it's a little less about Brock, and it's more about what we're not seeing from DJ, and communication issues, accuracy issues, pre-snap issues, protection issues, inaccurate throws, slow to get the ball out of his hand, incapable of avoiding a blitz, incapable of making a play with his legs. And it's all begin to mount so that you feel like, okay, well, listen, the season's pretty much been derailed. Why wouldn't I want to know if I have something in Brock? I got to know what I have moving forward, because it's going to dictate what I do in the offseason.
Yeah, the hard part is, a little bit of clear messaging, and this all goes away. If you say, look, he's very close to being ready, and we look forward to the opportunities that are coming soon for Brock, but we don't believe he's ready in this moment. And so that's why we're continuing to move forward with a guy that we brought in to be a leader for this offense. Yeah, is that a lot of PR? Sure, but it stops the questions. That there's no definitive statement where it's like, look, we're right. Even the question about DJ today, he's like, well, it's not just DJ that's making mistakes. Like, there's no statement that, hey, man, he's our guy. And so the questions persist. For you and me, we're saying, for what? What is the end goal of continuing to roll a fifth-year player out here when everything is now pretty much off the table? But we're okay with losing because Brock helps. Brock facilitates a loss.
Right. I am willing to do that. I can't state it more emphatically. I have said all along that I understand there will be mistakes that make you pull out your hair. In my case, what remaining hair I have. Like you're going to see some things that you go, oh, Brock, man, no, we can't do that. Can't do that.
Right. It's not advocating for the backup saying that, wait till you see this offense with this kid.
Right.
We are being held back from excellence by him not making the change.
It's not saying that at all.
There's a huge difference there.
There is a huge difference there because I'm not Pollyanna enough to think that just a simple change at quarterback is going to be the elixir that fixes all that is wrong with this offense. It's not that, because you see these offensive line mistakes. You see the mistakes from the tight end. You see the drops. You see the things that you know are not necessarily DJ's fault. And you say, well, that's probably not going to improve too much. But again, elusiveness matters. The ability to be able to run the ball with the quarterback clearly matters. Ask Memphis. Navy did it 12 times for 240-something yards. So, like, you can game plan around his mobility. You can say, well, I got something fairly athletic and tough at quarterback now. All right, read option stuff is going to work with him, especially, those moments that he has to keep. He'll make a play. He'll gash you for 7 or 8 yards, and he'll give my offense a chance at 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2, to move on and even possess the ball a little bit longer. So these kinds of things.
What's interesting is while you're waiting on that, and let's say that's what he believed. Like, look, I'm not going to hang him out to dry. We're not executing anywhere. So I'm going to stunt his growth. If I send him out there and we're not buttoned up and executing the way we need to get better everywhere before I put Brock out there, because I'm going to ruin him. Like, that could be the reason that you say I'm holding back. At least DJ's veteran enough and he's seen enough dysfunction that he can handle it. But I'm not ruining Brock because everybody else can't do their job properly. I got to tighten up everywhere before we do that. Even if that's your reasoning, and that's a pretty good one if you're going to hold Brock back.
It's something you could say to the press that there wouldn't be a counter to that necessarily, because your job as a member of the press is not to get into an argument with him at a press conference.
And I don't even know that he would admit that. I'm just saying that if that's legitimately his reason. He's like, well, I'm not going to ruin the kid because we can't do our basics. Like, okay, fair. I'm stunned still. To this point of the season, we have not seen a little bit more of the Wildcat, which is something Mike has fallen back on before. The one good thing he can argue this week is we had several third and mediums, especially the first half, that we picked up with run calls. Like, straight up dominated that ass and got a gain of 8, gain of 10 on a couple of 3rd and 4s and 5s. Like, so there's a little bit there.
All on our way to less than 300 yards of offense and 14 points.
Agreed. You had 208 at half. You had 208 at the half.
Again, I just don't, when you lay it out, and a lot of people think, and I'm going to go back to this again, a lot of people tend to think it's because you paid him to come in here. I've had a number of people send me these emails and tweets that, oh, well, see, this is the problem with NIL. You pay a kid to come in, you can't bench him. Those kinds of promises are in no NIL contract. There is no, you must play this many games. It's, I promise you, if you come here, we'll give you this and you'll play 10 starts or what. There's none of that is in those deals. None of that. And that is not the reason that he continues to go out there and play. It's because Mike has made the decision that he thinks that DJ gives him the best chance to win. That's either a misread on his part, in my opinion, or a damning indictment of Brock Glenn. It's one of those two. Could be that he thinks they've completely whiffed on Brock Glenn. Whew. That's something to ponder. It could be.
Look, play that hypothetical game for just a moment. You enroll Luke out there, would you? This soon?
I'd start getting him opportunities to play. I don't mean start or anything like that.
What, do you give him a drive?
I'd get him in some games. If you think Luke is your future, and I know a lot of people over there who do think Luke is the future at quarterback for Florida State, and we've seen enough to get excited about the potential for Luke to be good. Obviously, he's got a long way to go. I mean, he's so young,
again, if you can't trust your offensive line, and
no. I'm not
for
saying
a true freshman. Like, if you pause at redshirt freshman, then you really have to go full stop at a true freshman. I know that there are other true freshmen around the country that play. Typically, when they do, there is a base set of ingredients around them that you feel like you can count on to do the basics. Right now, I think that we finally learned that maybe we can run straight ahead a little bit this weekend. Beyond that, tell me about our receiving game, like our wide receiver core and what we are as a passing offense. Like, what are we? I couldn't tell you.
No, I do think that that's the right approach, is to try to build off the marginal success that you had running the ball, in particular early in this game. I'm with you on that. And that's why I led when we talked about, to start the show. I said some things that I was excited about on offense. Obviously, I brought up Lawrence Toafili, but I talked about the motion and the inside zone and the things that I did like, where I was like, oh, okay, all right. I'm certainly not going to bring up RPO because that's a toughie. We don't do that well. Nothing about that seems to work for him, but quick game, he's got to execute better. Screen game, we try. We have that jet motion in there. We threw in the end around. We had inside zone. So there's some things here and there where you go, okay.
Yeah, to me, I think it's the quick game that's the bigger issue than some of the RPO stuff. Like, they are so ready for a bubble to the outside. The Malik Benson one. We had been dummy motioning him across the entirety, but they're ready to tee off the moment that we throw it out there.
Because you've only thrown the ball down the field 3 effing times.
Yep.
So, of course they are. They all trigger downhill when they see it. They recognize it right away. That one safety was flying with his hair on fire.
Yep.
He had a 7-yard sprint with no thought of the repercussions if he's wrong. None. He knew there's no chance they're going to pump this and go. There's zero chance. I'm just going to blow this up. It's a hard enough block out in space anyhow.
Well, I mean, Morlock in that situation has to pick between two guys.
Yeah.
Now, he might have picked the wrong one, but it does. I mean, either way.
You're screwed.
Unless Malik makes a guy miss.
But you don't have a chance to make the guy miss because the space has been closed so rapidly.
Sure.
So all the grass is taken away. You have a split second. You got to catch the ball.
And you had momentum on that drive too. Like, that's these little things. They kill drives.
Well, it's also what's the drive where we had the horrific? It's late in the first half, isn't it? The horrific 3 and out. I believe it's a 3-yard loss, an incomplete pass, and a sack, and a punt with 5.5 minutes or whatever that is left.
That could have been the second half.
Is that the second half?
There was a 3 and out.
I just remember there were so many moments where I'm jotting like this could be a big drive, and we were. I mean, geez.
You have a 3 and out with a chance to ice the game.
Yes. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. So the first down is a run up the middle. It looks like in that instance, again, I don't know what he's coached to do. No, this is Lawrence now.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like there's a chance to just go hit it rather than wait because it's not an outside zone. It's not a counter play, and we get nothing out of it. It looked like there might have been if you just run with conviction there, maybe you have something. I don't know what he's coached to do though, so don't blame him necessarily. The second down play, it looks like there's a giant miscommunication about what to do.
That's
and you take the loss.
Yeah.
And then there's third down, he drives over.
Well, you.
Well, no, in that moment though, he's already thrown a pick in a horrible circumstance.
Yeah.
I was rooting for a run, or put your knee in the ground. You got the lead, punt. Put the ball in the hands of your best player with that lead in that situation, and that's Mastro.
Tough to say, but that is true, and it continues to be true. Kudos to him over and over and over and over again. Mastromano is a wonderful player for you, and I certainly never thought we'd come into the season and be 4 games in and we'd talk about how great our punter is. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem.
Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Investors, are you looking for a creative way to purchase your next rental property? Are you looking to get into the Airbnb space? If so, you need to know about DSCR loans. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. These are loans that do not require traditional income verification. As long as the proposed rent covers the mortgage payment on the subject property, that's the only income you need. If you're looking at investing and don't know if you can qualify, let's set up a plan to get your next income-producing property and start putting you on a path to passive income. Give me a call at 954 369-6171. And don't forget, every fellow Knoll that we close a loan for, I will personally make a donation of $250 to the Battle's End. It's Shannon Young at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing NMLS number 373031.
Social Kitchen on Cary Forest Parkway is your place for all things related to football season. Need steaks? Social Kitchen. Need chef-prepared sides and appetizers? Social Kitchen. Need desserts for a party? Social Kitchen. Anything you need this fall, Social Kitchen has you covered. Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides that are ready to serve in under 20 minutes. Stop in or visit online at socialkitchentlh.com.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping. Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps. Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors and we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless. Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Let's welcome him in. My man, Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, joins us every Monday. Most Mondays, anyhow. Most Mondays. And this one's after a win, which is a really good thing. Hey, Ira, how are you, brother?
I'm good, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I let's start with the very positive because there was, and I tried to start the show with that, although I'm so disgusted with the offense, I get sidetracked very easily. But as you wrote in your piece, and as we all watched on Saturday night, this was the defensive line that we thought could be game-changing, and it was. The 7 sacks, you had the 12 tackles for loss, you had another, this is not the first time this year, but you had another great performance from Josh Farmer. Patrick Payton got in the act. You know, I think the thing that was probably most encouraging for me, besides the young kids that are playing now, is the fact that Darrell Jackson made an impact in this game. Marvin Jones Jr. made an impact in this game. So, you know, that's something you can fall back on as you head to SMU, who just had a huge point total in their last game, and hope that you can dominate the line of scrimmage and slow them down.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think when you look at those guys, even the plays, like you said, Darrell Jackson, he didn't have as many stats as those other guys, but there are definitely plays where you're watching where he's pushing his dude 5 yards into the backfield, making an impact. And you know, I think, man, for whatever happened the first 2 weeks of the season, I don't know, man. I don't know if it was the weight of the expectations. Some of the coaches today talked about that. I don't know if it was guys being overwhelmed or not realizing how big of a role they needed to take, and you know, guys who have never been the stars before having to adapt to that. Like, there could be a number of reasons, but we are where we're at. And I think over the last game or two, you're starting to see much more out of those guys. And that can change the entire defense, man, because, you know, these linebackers are taking a lot of grief, deservedly so, but their lives are going to be much easier if that defensive line plays at a high level. that was not a great Cal offensive line. I'm not trying to say it was anything more than it was, but if those guys play with that effort and that physicality in every game, it gives the rest of the defense a fighting chance. And man, when your offense is as bad as your offense is, that defense has to play well, and it all starts up front. So I get that people are not happy overall with the team, but that is a first building block you need to have any chance at.
No, I think that's the right thing to point out, that none of this is going to make up for the way this season has started. I don't think the season's going to go well either way, but you do need to find out what you have with some of these younger guys, and they actually went to it. Ira, I thought that Quindarius Jones really stood out to me. Watching him cover is fun and exciting. Edwin Joseph, those kinds of guys, yeah, we know the veteran players showed up. Pat Payton showed up. Josh Farmer showed up. And we're right to mention that. But Marvin Jones Jr. and Edwin Joseph and Quindarius Jones and anybody else you want to throw in there, I thought the younger players were pretty exciting and reason to they give you a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I think Marvin Jones Jr. is a great guy to include in that group, because I think so many of us, myself included, you see him physically, and we saw him in the spring and see him in the summer, and you think, oh, man, this guy's going to be plug and play. But the reality is, man, I think he's like 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's not played a lot of football. I think he may have come to Florida State thinking he's a one and done and gone to the NFL. But I think if he were to stay for another year and become what he could become, man, that's a big deal. So, yeah, and that's the thing about this team is the one thing that is encouraging, even during the losses, is I think there's a ton of talent on defense. Especially a ton of young talent on defense, especially in the back seven, and then on offense at the skill positions. I mean, I think every week, every Monday at these press conferences, I'm usually asking Mike Norvell, but today I asked Alex Atkins, when are you going to start to see some more of these young guys? Because there's a ton of talent on this field, and the guys that are playing, I'm sure they know what they're supposed to be doing, but the guys who are not playing, a lot of those young guys on offense are guys who can make plays. And the sooner they get to that on that side of the ball too, I think the better.
Ira, I'm going to ask you your opinion on this, because I've racked my brain on it, and it's so delicate because I don't like sounding like I'm, I don't know, attacking or impugning a kid or anything like that, because I'm not doing that. But the numbers, you know them. I'm sure you've looked at some of them. I documented to start the show where we're at offensively in every possible way, whether it's scoring or yards per play or, even opponents adjusted, all the stuff you want to look for. They're awful in every facet of offensive football. And so here's my question. Why do you think he continues to start DJ?
I mean, I think there's probably two big factors, and one of them is pretty obvious. I mean, I think he obviously thinks he gives them a better chance to win. I mean, ultimately, no matter, while we're all looking to the future, as a coach, every coach I've ever covered, they feel a loyalty a lot of times to everybody on that team, and it's about that team having every chance they can to win. So it's hard. The youth movement we always clamor for, and I get it, and that's how we all are. But, it's hard as a coach to tell guys who are veterans on your team, who this may be their last year, hey, man, I'm sorry, I gave it 3 games, I'm moving on. So I think that, to me, if you're going to do it for the standpoint of looking to the future, to me, that's more of a second half of the decision, second half of the season decision. But the other part of it is, man, and this might not be fair to Mike Norvell, because I think he does care mostly about winning, but I also think he probably doesn't want to be wrong. He made the decision to go get DJ Uyunglele. Now, he may not have been the number one choice on his board of a dream scenario of who he could have gotten, but he made the decision to get him. He thought it would work, and it's not working. So I'm sure part of him wants to make it work. And look, DJ has not always been this bad. So, he's got some skin in this game too. DJ's playing worse now, really, than he has the last 2 seasons. So I think Mike Norvell probably wants to try to figure it out, because if he can, then I think he thinks he's got a chance to have more success. The last part of it is, man, I don't, this is not a knock on Brock Glenn or Luke Kromenhoek, but I would not go into a game where one of those guys was the starting quarterback and think, okay, this is going to solve a whole lot of problems. It would give you some more mobility, but I'm not in the camp of that's what's holding this offense back.
I'm not in the camp of if you start them, your season's going to magically turn around. I don't think that this offense is going to be very good one way or the other. I'm in the camp of DJ is the slowest person I've ever seen on planet Earth.
And also, listen, it's he's talked since he got here. Mike Norvell's talked since he got here about this being the passing game being a timing-based passing game. Well, I mean, DJ is not that quarterback. I mean, he does not get the ball quick. He doesn't drop quick. Nothing about it is quick.
No.
So that really harms your ability to. So I'm with you, man. I'm not defending DJ Uyunglele. I'm just saying your offensive line's not very good. Your receivers are not good at all. And, some of the players who you do think are good drop passes at bad times. So I'm not thinking that there's going to be a whole lot of difference if they make a change.
I wonder if, you wonder how long you hinted at, you think maybe if in the second half of the season, if you've given it a go and given everything you can, and it's still not working out, then, maybe you're 5 and 6 games in, you switch it up. I do know this. If you're not going to make a change at quarterback this weekend, you certainly can't do it the following weekend. So, you wouldn't do that to Brock or anybody for that matter. So if we don't see any of Brock this week, you're not going to see him the following week. What
are the odds if he did play this week, Jeff, that he played well enough that you go into the Clemson game thinking, even if he came in as a backup,
right,
where you thought, we need to start him against Clemson?
No, I don't think you would change who you predicted to win the game. I mean, I think Clemson's going to dominate the game. I think Clemson's defensive line is going to manhandle Florida State's offensive line. What happens from there it's self-explanatory, right? If you can't block them, you've got zero chance. But I would say that if you can't block them, DJ's going to get murdered because he can't get out of the way of molasses. So I don't think Brock wins you the game, but I think at some point you got to put somebody in there that can move. And at least I'm not even talking, people will bring up how bad the RPO game is, and it's terrible. But if you think about it the other way, like the read option, you can have a guy with legs read the end and decide to keep or give. And I think Brock would do that fine. I don't think he's going to light it up through the air because he's not going to have time to throw. But you could move him around. You could roll him out. You could use him in the read option game. I just don't think DJ is going to do any of that stuff well, especially because they can't protect him and he can't move.
Oh, I hear you, man. I'm not disagreeing with the idea that having somebody more mobile would help. But I also think, man, that Clemson game, it's going to be, based on what we've seen so far, Jeff, it's going to be trying to survive that game.
Yep.
And then give yourself a chance in the games after that, because they look like they figured it out. And that was good. We always knew that was going to be a good defense, but now they figured out an offense too. So,
buddy, it's scary.
I guess, yeah.
What we're talking about here gets really scary. And I hated to have to come in and talk about that today because I'm watching that Clemson team now, and that kid's figured it out at quarterback, and they all of a sudden love each other, and they're playing fast as hell, and they have a dominant defensive line, and Miami is killing people that are a lot better than Florida State in some areas. And so you look at that schedule and you start to say, holy moly, like you just called the Clemson game a game you're hoping to survive. I would call the Miami game that. I might call the Notre Dame game that. I guess the others are certainly winnable after watching North Carolina, and we've seen – I know Duke's undefeated, but they haven't played anybody. And you can beat SMU this weekend. So I guess, it's interesting. It's like you pick and choose 3 games maybe. The Charleston Southern game, throw that in there too.
It feels like it when as an Orioles fan, it feels like pitching against the Yankees when Soto and
Judge,
when they're all kind of going. It's like, man, who are we going to throw to here? But listen, the thing I would say is I'm torn on the whole thing, man. I don't know how people should feel. On the one hand, I don't feel like people should be thrilled about getting a win. I also think it's unrealistic to think they were going to fix everything that's wrong in 1 week. I think it's going to be a gradual process to get better. The problem is, you kind of spit away your chance in those first few weeks. Because I said at the time, Georgia Tech's not going to be a great team. Boston College is okay, is a solid team, but they're not great. Memphis is not a great team. Well, that's bearing out. The problem is you didn't start to figure it out until you got to these harder games, and that's the problem. I think they're at a point now, it's like a fledgling offense with what they did last week, that I think they can start figuring some things out. The problem is the level of competition is about to go to a whole nother level.
And and I know, because we've watched this happen over the years, and it's frustrating for fans. Nobody likes to admit this. Most people played sports growing up, so they can't fathom it, but we've all watched it happen. If incompetent or listless or useless on one side of the ball and the other side is playing their ass off, the side that's kicking ass begins to get worn down, pissed off, and fade. And if you don't move the ball against Clemson, and this game, we saw, you know what Clemson's going to do? Clemson's going to do to us what Georgia did to Clemson, which is Clemson's hanging in there defensively. They're fighting like hell. They're stymieing Georgia. They get to half. Their offense comes out in the second half. They go 3 and out immediately. Georgia goes down and scores, and Katie bar the door. Clemson's done. They're looking over at Cade Klubnik, and they're saying, sweet Jesus, man, we're out here fighting like hell, and you can't get a first down. And that's what's going to happen to this poor defense that's playing their ass off right now. But you know and I know, if they don't start moving the ball on offense, that will go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but yeah, that's usually how it goes. I mean, every once in a while you have a team that, you know, maybe just got kids who are just not going to quit. But it becomes difficult, and it's a team sport. And if you are that bad in one side of the football, it is going to affect the other side of the football. I do think, you know, I want to see what they look like Saturday. And so I want to hold off a little bit of judgment because I did see some things I liked in that game Saturday. There's just like little pockets, not just the defensive line, but as you mentioned, Quadarius Jones and some of the other guys here and there. So Feely get more involved in the offense. And I saw some better individual performances on the offensive line. If they can kind of build on that this week, all right, now at least you look like a competent football team. This was the first time I felt in that game, even though it was an ugly game at home against Cal, it felt like more of a competent football team than we saw in the first 3 weeks. So you can build on that, then maybe you don't get embarrassed. But yeah, man, they still have a long way to go.
Fight for Lawrence Toafili to get 20 carries. Let's get a guy to get 15 to 20 carries, because he had 16 for 76 and a touchdown in this game, and really I thought was a spark.
He was, no doubt, without question. And some of these other guys, you know, I mean, look, I love Cam Davis. I think he's going to be really good. But he's just got to learn to be the guy that, you know, I'm sure in high school, man, he was the guy delivering the blows.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he still feels like the guy that's kind of taking some of the blows. And as he kind of grows, there's a phrase for it. I'm not going to use it. As it grows into that level of adulthood or manhood,
right,
I think it's going to look a lot different. I don't know when that's going to happen.
I think you're right. Always good, brother. Be well. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Take care. That's Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com. We got the Monday Smash tonight, right?
That is correct. 7 o'clock.
All right. You drinking the hard stuff tonight? 7 o'clock?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what we're drinking. I think he needs to have a shot of Julio because they won a football game.
Yeah, and you get the ooh.
I think that's how we got to start it off, right?
Yeah.
I should have brought that to the table before I hung him up, hung up on him, because now he might not be listening, but I'll text him and I'll say, hey man, the people are expecting the Julio.
Legitimately worried for this defense. If the offense can't do any better than this, they'll fade.
So there was a moment just before half of the Memphis game where they were ready to break. And if Memphis scored a touchdown there, I don't know.
They fought like hell in that drive.
They did.
Red zone down on the 2-yard line. Yeah.
When it's goal to go, they're about ready. You're starting to see the body language thing, where they're despondent. And then Memphis messes around and they only kick for a field goal. Then the odd part was they got a rest. So they needed to get inside and get a breather, and they did. Then Memphis goes down and scores in their first drive of the second half.
Of course they did.
And I thought, oh, well, here they go. But they didn't. To their credit, they kept it within reach even after that moment. But if
you're
going to ask them week after week after week, I largely agree with Ira in that they look more competent this weekend, more so than in previous weeks. It's just a hell of a time to have DJ play his worst game at Florida State, which is saying something.
I was about to say that is saying a lot.
But I mean, really, the best argument you can make for him, at least from where I'm sitting, is that he's been the same guy this entire time for 4 games. That's the best argument you can make. I think he's getting a little bit worse.
I thought he was worse in this game. I was. It's so weird. I fight it because my kids were at the game. They had a blast. They were excited that they won. I don't want to be the guy that the second they, walk through the door and say, Dad, what'd you think? Well, son, I'm discouraged. I'm more discouraged than I was prior to the win. But I was, because the defense we saw play well last week, and the defense was on the come. You started seeing them get better anyhow. I needed to see something from this offense, and I saw a quarterback that looked worse than he's looked at any point, and he's looked terrible prior to that game.
Well, when something goes bad, you've got to be able to respond to it with productivity. And look, he made the third down throws he made saved his bacon and saved us from losing. Like how we got to third down in a lot of those situations, not so great.
Yeah.
He did make 4 or 5 of them that put us in position to win the game, last of which was to Ja'Kai.
It's a great throw, and kudos to Ja'Kai, who had a great game.
You had a 2-way go there because Toafili on rail.
Either one you want. Either one you want.
But it's that he was looking in the place that he was supposed to look first.
Many folks are jumping on the diet pills and supplements plan. You see people out there on Ozempic and all of that. They're trending diets. We've seen that over the years, a number of methods. But no one method will fix everything. You're going to see the scale go down briefly, and then it tends to go back up. And you're trying to make real health gains. Go see my friends at DexaFit. Results of a DEXA scan can help you improve your health long-term. You get real, true keys to longevity for your life, implementing the exercises that are going to help you and your body type. You'll find out the way that you work out isn't actually necessarily the way you need to be working out, depending on what you're utilizing. Go buy DexaFit right now. Find out more. Get that DEXA scan. You want to use the code because you're going to save a lot of money. Jeff25. Jeff25 will save you 25%. DEXA scan at DexaFit, right over there by Bumpus. Jeff25 saves you 25%.
Your local news now.
According to the National Hurricane Center, a tropical storm is likely to develop in the coming days as a disturbance in the northwest Caribbean and southern Gulf of Mexico intensifies. While the exact path and intensity remain uncertain, heavy rainfall and gusty conditions are expected in Leon County by the end of the week. In anticipation of potential heavy rainfall, Leon County will open 5 sandbag locations that will open today starting at noon. Sandbags will be available at the following locations: Leon County's Northeast Branch Library, Appalachia Regional Park, Solid Waste Management Facility, Fred George Park, the intersection of Oak Ridge Road and Ranchero Road, in Fort Braden Community Park. Leon County will staff these sites from dawn to dusk to assist residents in quickly filling sandbags. Sand, bags, and ties will be available for public use. Residents are asked to limit their sandbags to 15 per household to ensure availability for others. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by McNamore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McNamoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 93. East winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows around 72. Daytime highs approaching 91 tomorrow. Bright sunshine expected. 87 Wednesday with a chance of thunderstorms. 79 Thursday, chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on a Monday, busy Monday. We got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, buddy. 2.
Yeah, it's not even a double header. It's a concurrent header.
Yeah, it's funny.
Staggered header?
There's 2 games. It's weird that they do it this way, though. In terms of, I was kind of surprised that this is what they chose. Only one of these is, well, I guess maybe at the time that they picked it, they thought they would both be, but it's not great.
No, and we play a Monday night situation like this where they do the 7:15 and the 8. The one place that it becomes valuable when you do this concurrent thing is there is no halftime. So if you're just an interested observer, none of the 4 teams of your team, you really have little to no commercials. That's the great part about it.
The ESPN Plus game is Washington at Cincinnati. The regular ESPN game is Jacksonville at Buffalo. That's 7:30 and 8:15. Right. 7:30 and 8:15. Yeah. Cincinnati -7, Buffalo -5.5. By the way, Jacksonville, this is weird just to bring up. I talked about 0-2 teams and how desperate 0-2 teams would play, and we saw that in Tampa Bay with Denver taking it to the Bucs and owning our Buccaneers.
Wolf.
Wolf was right? A little bit of Rams playing desperate, down, fighting back, winning that game against San Francisco.
I thought you were using Rams as a verb for what the Broncos did.
0-2 desperate Baltimore doing what they did to Dallas, although they almost come back. Did Dallas. Crazy to watch that. Anyhow, Carolina on that list. I'm going to keep track of this from here on out with these 0-2 teams, but
only Tennessee, right? Was that the only one to slip up
they
yesterday?
They got smoked.
Yeah, man.
The Giants won 21-15 over Cleveland. I'm going to blindly bet the 0-2 teams next year.
So last year they were 5-4. This year it's decidedly.
Yeah.
It's decidedly.
Well, you're up against it because they know the numbers just like we know the numbers. No 0-3 team made the playoffs last year. So you're a coach. It's really easy. Guys, it's a long season. Go 0-3. It's an even longer season because we ain't going anywhere.
I love to criticize the hell out of overrated ass Sean Payton, but yesterday there's no room for it.
Coach circles around us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a tough day.
He won the toss. He took the ball, and he was right to.
Oh, he laid it on the table. He was like, "Let me show you what I'm about to do with my rookie quarterback."
Yeah, he got in our head coach's face. Went Todd.
Kansas City Atlanta was fun last night.
That was a good finish. Good job.
I was
way to not pull the hanky out of your pocket.
I was falling half asleep. I was like,
All right.
I did all right from a NFL prop bet standpoint. I'm starting to get a handle on some of those. Worst game I've seen CJ Stroud play since the very start of his career at the beginning of the year last year.
I mean, is Mama Cameron right to just keep on betting the Vikings
she
until they let her down?
She is going to ride the Vikings to an undefeated campaign. Skol! Look at these Vikings. Darnold's like, get you some, everybody. I've always been this guy.
I was just with the Jets and the Panthers.
What was I supposed to do with those 2 ass franchises? 3-0 Minnesota, and they've been awesome. It's like, I know this isn't a great measuring stick with such a small set of data points, but 85-30 is what Minnesota's done to people this year.
Yeah, and look, one of those wins is over San Francisco, who everybody loves.
Yeah, that was, look.
And everybody loves Houston's quarterback play. Not yesterday, though.
No, he was bad. They're at the Packers next, then it's the Jets, then it's the Lions. It actually gets fun, those 3.
Those are 3 good games.
3 good games. That's
Lord.
3 good. Yeah, 3 good games is right. By the way, before we get into that third hour, I will also point out, I brought this up last week, but I am wearing the Skeens shirt today. You saw yesterday. He dominated again in his final start for the year.
Yeah.
And finished the season with a 1.99 ERA.
Go on, brag on that note you sent to me.
Yeah, I did send you that note.
2 pitchers in history.
Yeah, he's one of 2 pitchers in history to do. Let me pull up that note, Tom, because
while you do, I'll just brag on a nice 2-1 victory and a 6-out save in a that was a nail-biting finish to the whole game was nip and tuck. I watched playoff baseball last night without it actually being playoff baseball.
Isn't it fun to do that, buddy?
I vomited twice. Yes.
You're going to be at a place where I sent it to you via Twitter, didn't I?
No, IG.
Oh, I did.
Oh, was it Twitter?
I think it might have been Twitter, buddy.
I get messages from Jeff on every front.
You get every imaginable forum.
You should see his TikTok account.
I don't have it.
It's wild.
Anyhow, he's Skeens is one of 2 pitchers to do something in the last 100 years. It was something ridiculous. You have to pull it up. I can't find it because I'm going to screw this up if I pull up my Instagram account.
Did you see the Keith Hernandez thing I sent?
Yes, which made me laugh. But the point would be, that's the one bit of hope I have.
Oh, you're right. It was Twitter.
Yeah, see, I'm on top of it, buddy. I came across it and went, oh, my goodness.
Only the second player to post an ERA sub-2 through 22 career appearances since 1913.
Woo! 1913.
Once again, only the second pitcher in history to post an ERA under 2 in his first 22 appearances since the year 1913.
You know who didn't do that? Roger Clemens. You know who didn't do that? Pedro Martinez. You know who didn't do that? Nolan Ryan.
Everybody but one person.
You know who didn't do that? Greg Maddux. You know who didn't? Yeah, that's right, Tom. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
You could do that for a while.
I can keep going. Name your greatest pitcher ever you want.
Yeah.
And they didn't do what Skeens did.
Name every pitcher who's ever pitched since 1913. Except for one.
It's crazy. But, yeah. And Skeens owned Cincinnati. He gave up 1 run with 25 strikeouts and 17 innings over 3 starts. Cincinnati wants no part of some Paul Skeens. Like, oh, no. That Skeens character's on the hill again. We've been brutalized by that big man.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's Paul Skeens.
Look at him. He's huge.
It's a very large individual.
It's funny to see the faces after each at bat. They're like, well, good God, man. This is what we're out here doing? That's all I have. That's all I can do. The Twins are skidding. They've lost 13 of the last 19. They're a game back of the Tigers for the final wild card.
Hell, the Royals have lost 7 in a row.
The Tigers have won 6 of 7. On August the 10th, they were 11 games out of the postseason. 11! Not only have they passed Minnesota for the 3rd wild card spot, they're tied with Kansas City for the 2nd.
Oh, no. Those big, fluffy Tigers have caught us.
Final hour, 4th coming. Stay with.
Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1. Health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection. With automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
What will the Noles do to follow up an unconquered 2023? Warchant.com, the market leader in FSU football and sports coverage, is the place to find out. Join the largest FSU fan community and talk Seminole sports in Warchant's Travel Council and premium recruiting message board forum. Enjoy special access to multimedia elements like Wake Up Warchant, The Jeff Cameron Show, and Seminole Headlines, plus exclusive forums with FSU student athletes and a members-only discounted Garnet and Gold. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Head to Warchant.com and sign up today.
Don't turn that dial. The Ben Shapiro Show takes over from 3 to 5, coming up next on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Middle East expert John Alterman at the Center for Strategic and International Studies says Israeli defense officials felt that Hezbollah attacks had gone too far for too long a period of time.
This is the kind of step you need to take, not because you want to defeat Hezbollah comprehensively, but you need to remind Hezbollah of just how much Israel can hurt Hezbollah, can weaken Hezbollah, and if their interest is...
Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
NFL Week 3 wrapping up tonight with two games on Monday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills will be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Buffalo sitting at 2-0, while the Jaguars enter the game at 0-2 and could be without Pro Bowl tight end Evan Ingram, who has a hamstring strain. The Cincinnati Bengals sitting at 0-2. They are home tonight as they welcome in the 1-1 Washington Commanders. The latest college football poll after 4 weeks of the season, Texas remaining number one. They got 44 first-place votes, sitting at 4-0, while Georgia getting 13 first-place votes are the number 2 team in the nation. Ohio State is 3, Alabama 4, and the Tennessee Volunteers moving up 1 spot after their win on the road against Oklahoma to number 5. Ole Miss, Miami, Oregon, Penn State, and Utah round out the top 10. This sports update brought to you by Flomar's Pawn, Guns, and Gold. More than you might expect. I'm Tony Desiri, Real Talk 93.3.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
It's summertime in Tallahassee, and it's gonna get hot. The last thing you want to do is your own yard work, so call the Lawn Johns instead. Here's what Linda had to say after her lawn service.
The Lawn Johns transformed my yard. Mark had excellent landscaping ideas and recommendations for the best plants for certain areas. The plan was executed efficiently, and now the yard is beautiful and full of color and variety.
Call the Lawn Johns today for all your lawn care and landscaping at 322-2567 or request a free quote online at thelawnjohns.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark.construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark.construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But I'm going to have to exhale, show patience. First two things, all your toilet paper will be gone. Second thing, better get gas today because they'll be gone too. The freak out session begins probably T-minus 15 minutes from right now.
Probably so. Thankfully, I filled up last week. I probably need to go get some things myself, though. So maybe some water.
Get ready.
The water will be gone.
What you should do, Tom, is go into the Costco like everybody else is today and wander around somewhat aimlessly. Try to put on 50 pounds of fat and just take your cart and go as slow as possible and just don't be cognizant of anybody else around you while you pretend to, be nervous or whatever it is. That's the game plan for you,
Well,
buddy.
do you have the look? Do you have that look down? The pretending to be nervous look?
Oh, I can give you the look of consternation.
Here it is. That's it. It's right there.
Yeah. Do that. Seem annoyed that it's so busy, even though you're also part of the problem.
That's me watching the guards pull and the tackles pull on first down.
Mm-hmm.
They're pulling.
Yeah,
Okay. We're on
okay.
the counter.
Here we go again.
Okay, gain of 4. All right.
I'll take that. Second and 6. Big day at the office. Zach said Skeens and somebody like 3-Finger Brown in 1913. That is right. That is right, Zach.
It's the original Ninja Turtle grip.
Danny writes, Jeff, thoughts on Link Jarrett's interview today? I've yet to hear it. Practice begins for Florida State. Got baseball on the mind, but they're thinking a lot about the Mets Braves this week, buddy.
Yeah.
Big series.
Look,
big series.
We all know what the Mets do when they go down to Atlanta in September, and it's usually not win. It's usually not. In fact, their winning percentage down there when both teams are over 500 in the past 15, 20 years, it's under 300. We don't go down there and win ball games. But we've got to face those fears. We have to face the demons. We have to go into Truist Park.
It is on the schedule. That is correct.
You have to play these games. And you know what? If you play them with fear, you will lose.
That is also true, but I think it's about execution, Tom. I'm going to do the coach thing here and tell you it's about execution.
That's right. Well, I mean,
execute
pitch at a
your
time.
pitch and you'll be all right.
One pitch at a time, one play at a time, one swing at a time.
Man, I will tell you that I get excited this final week of the year when you have series like this one and you have series like Padres-Dodgers. By the way, did you watch the end of that game last night for the Dodgers?
No, but I saw the highlights.
So
kinda.
I was watching it when it happened, and Shohei comes up, and he's one of those guys, the way that Barry Bonds was in that stretch where you couldn't get him out. Shohei is up, and I'm like, I know it's a one-run game. Probably don't want to walk him. But because if you walk him, he's going to steal second. He already had 2 stolen bases that day. He's now a 53-55 guy. Like this, he's kind of crazy. There's an outside chance he could end up being a 60-60 guy before the week's over. It's just insane.
Yeah, this is why if you got the 50-50 ball, you sell it immediately because there'll be a 55-55.
Well, that is about to happen. It's already 53-55. It happened very, very quickly. But I'm watching that play out, and it's a reminder of the level of transcendent greatness that we're watching in this guy. And we've seen a few, and he's in that category. I'm like, he's going to hit the game-tying home run here. If this ball is anywhere in the strike zone, he's going to hit it out. And then you hear the sound the ball made off his bat, and as soon as he hits, you're like, oh, dear Lord. And it's dead. It's right center. It's like one of the deepest parts of the park is Chavez Ravine, and it's way out. They're never close. It's never like a wall scraper. It's always, oh, that's like 47 rows back.
No, that's what we had last night is the game-winning home run is proved to be was in the air so long that let's just say it hit off the glove and went in play. You at least have a triple and you might have an inside the park home run. It was just up there
for days. Yeah.
And this is where your true nature as a Met fan comes out. I go, oh, that's caught. He's going to catch it. He's going to catch it. He's going to come on. One time. It's not even halfway there yet. See all this thinking, and it scrapes the wall. Not like Ohtani, though. Ohtani would have hit it into Brooklyn.
To the moon. It just goes and goes and goes. It is so fun to watch, and he did it again. And so he ties it up, and then Mookie Betts wins it 4 pitch later. Nice to have those two back-to-back in the lineup, and he's there, and as soon as he hits that, I'm like, oh, that's gone too. That's a toughie. I mean, whatever, Colorado, but still, I mean, that's you had that game.
That's how quick it can happen to you against the Dodgers.
Well, you're up 4-0. Then the next thing you know, it's 5-4, and you're like, oh, great, we got Ohtani and Betts to start the 9th. This probably doesn't feel like much of a save. Doesn't feel like, they call it a save opportunity. I don't think this is going to be a save, buddy. Baseball's hard. It shouldn't be that easy. It shouldn't look like that. And yet, shalaka, as soon as he hits it, it's that loud ass, ooh.
That's correct. That's where big time players make a difference. When you have dudes like that at any sport,
it's cool.
Any level of any sport. When you have a guy like that, and God forbid you have 2 or 3, it makes all the difference sometimes.
So watched it and celebrated all of that and thought about what that was, but then realized what this week was, which is, again, a lot of people desperately holding on for dear life to make the playoffs or fighting their way, kicking down the door, hot down the stretch, great play, see the Tigers, 10 of 11, that kind of a thing, right? And that's where we're at. By the way, Ohtani now, look, we already had the 50-50 game. Then we had the 50-51, 51-51. All that's left, it's Bonds and Ohtani, who've ever hit 51 home runs in a season and also have ever stolen 51 bases in a season. So that's just not in the same season.
Yeah, different times.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ohtani hit another home run and stole another base to become the game's first ever 52-52 player. Bonds' stolen base peak was 52 at his highest level, right? Which means that when Ohtani went to 53 and also 53 home runs, he became the first player to ever hit 53 home runs in any season in a career and also steal 53 bases in any season in his career. It's ever the history of baseball. It's never been done.
It comes down to little nanometers, it feels like. The one thing I'll say is you got an extra 1.5 feet of a bag. So if you gave Bonds that, he probably gets to 60 bags, 65 bags.
Perhaps.
I'm just saying. It's a huge bag now versus what it used to be. And that makes a difference because these things come down to hundredths of a second of pop time and all that kind of stuff.
By the way, though, not for nothing, and we got spoiled because of the steroid era, and, we understand launch angles and what's happened in baseball. But really quickly, some of the greatest sluggers in the history of baseball never reached 53 home runs in a season. Here's the list. Henry Aaron, Albert Pujols, Willie Mays. I could stop there. That's a pretty damn incredible list. Jim Thome, Frank Robinson, Harmon Killebrew, Rafael Palmeiro, Reggie Jackson. Here's a list of really fast baseball players that never stole 53 bases in their career. Henry Aaron, Craig Biggio, Rod Carew, Derek Jeter, Barry Larkin, Willie Mays, Tris Speaker. We can go on and on and on. It's, part of it, though, too, Tom, and I'll move on and we'll get back to football. Shohei is 6'5", almost 6'5", 6'4.5", whatever they have him listed at. He is a massive individual. I mean, when you watch him steal a base, it's so he made fun of himself. I don't know if you saw his interview. He was talking about stealing bases, and they said, "When did you know you could steal bases?" And he's like, "I'm still not good at it." And they were asking him, like, "Well, how can you say that? You've done this, this, and this." And he goes, "I'm really a long strider. I have really long strides. It doesn't take me much to get to second, But in terms of the strategy of stealing a base, there are guys all around this league, his interpreter was saying this, are much better than me at like stealing a base, like the idea of stealing a bag. He's like, I get a good lead. It's in a advantageous situation. And if I go, you really have to make a perfect throw because it takes me 3 strides to get there.
What he was actually saying, the interpreter was cleaning it up. I'm the best there ever was.
And he should. He should say it. Yeah, the interpreter was being nice. He ought to just be like, well, you're right. I am a badass, and every day I prove it. And wait till the badassery you see tomorrow comes to light when you watch the highlights.
I'm the best there ever was. You can clean it up and give some sort of nonsense PR answer if you want to, but, look, I'm great. And you can tell them that, or you can choose to take the coward's way out like you always do. Well, Shohei has this to say. And I'm a big Strider.
So, unable to pitch, he made a decision to expand his offensive repertoire, said as much. Said, I want to steal more than 50 bases. He's never stolen anywhere close to 50 bases before. He went on to say that, well, now that I only have to worry about hitting this year, he was saying coming into the season, he said, I want to lead the league in home runs. He does. And he said he wanted to, he was hoping to lead the league in RBIs as well. He's very, very close. I think that number's right there. So, sweet Jesus. Wouldn't it be cool to be that kind of preternaturally gifted at anything? Anything.
Well, I mean, I do play Halo at a mean level.
Not an Ohtani level. Well, I don't think it's at an Ohtani level. You've mentioned to me.
06 Lang was pretty good.
Well, that's back in the day. That's back in the day. It's like when Dylan reflects on songwriting from the 60s. He had a fastball nobody could touch.
Yeah, there it is. Right now, I look at it. There's too much movement on the screen. I'm like, whoop, I'm a little unbalanced.
I was going to say, with your vertigo, can you play video games?
Certain kinds. First-person shooters, no way.
Oh, buddy, you die. You die, Tom. I don't have vertigo. My kids are playing first-person shooters. I watch for 5 seconds. I go, that's it. I'm out.
No, if I tried to play Smash Brothers, for example, that game already will leave you feeling overstimulated. But no, I would probably start vomiting all over the room.
We began the day by documenting the exciting play of the newcomers on defense, freeing the youngins, and we celebrated those youngins, and that was fun. And I did like talking about that. And I feel like I emphasized that celebratory thing, right, that we needed to do, because I get it. You win a game, you want to celebrate the things that help you win that game. The defense dominated that game. The defense was the reason that we won it. So that's all there. I also, for those that were asking, documented the doom and gloom and dread that I feel surrounding this offense. If you missed that in the first 2 hours, I'll give you a rapid-fire summation of this offense. 126th in scoring offense. The only Power 4 team you're ranked ahead of is Houston. You're averaging 15 points a game. That's better than just 8 other teams in the entire country. Dead last in the ACC by 8 points per game. Of the teams in the ACC that have also played 4 games, you're dead-ass last in scoring there, too. You haven't played, obviously, the better part of your schedule just yet. We watched what Georgia Tech has done since beating Florida State. They've lost to Syracuse, gave up a lot of points. Lost to Louisville on Saturday, gave up 31 points. You played Memphis, who you lost to, who we thought was soft. Memphis turned around and gave a gazillion yards and points up to Navy. The quarterback for Navy alone rushed for 211 yards on just 12 attempts and 4 touchdowns. You've also now played Cal and BC, who we don't think are world beaters. Cal, decent team. BC, decent team. You're 83rd in points per drive. That's behind juggernauts like Western Kentucky and Buffalo and Northwestern. 103rd in drive success. The list goes on and on and on. And the point of all of that is to say that, A, it'd be nice to beat SMU on Saturday because their defense is bad. And if your defense is good, you should slow down that SMU offense, which finally found its footing over the weekend with bad timing for us. But we'll see. I think if you can control the line of scrimmage, you can beat, obviously, SMU. But you better, because things aren't looking up, as the jingle goes, that we've played on the show for Florida State moving forward. That Clemson game has now been announced to be in prime time for all the world to watch us take an ungodly ass-kicking at Doak Campbell Stadium, which is what I'm projecting as I sit here today. I will take Clemson minus 17, minus 18, minus 19, minus 20, minus 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I will take it all, and I will double down on that because Clemson's going to destroy Florida State as we play right now, this level of offense. It's uncompetitive. It's gross. It's enough to make you puke. And if it doesn't get markedly better by the time you face Clemson in 2 weeks, you're going to lose that game in humiliating fashion. And today we learned that the world will be watching it because it's on at 7 o'clock, right?
Well, that's the best part, is that it'll be in prime time. You got all day to get ready for it.
Well, remember, Tom, it's in line with what the rest of the country got to see when you played Georgia Tech and lost. Only game on television. It's in line with what the world got to see when you played Boston College. Only game on at the time. All of it, buddy.
My guess is this game is some sort of sacrificial lamb, and there is a 7 p.m. kickoff for the Big Ten that might be of note. Like usually when they do this, they stick a brand name game that doesn't have juice in terms of competitiveness, but they know, ESPN or ABC, that'll at least take some eyeballs away from the competition on either Fox or CBS or NBC, like whoever's going to have that primetime game. But no matter, I would have preferred a nooner, personally. The thing about what Clemson is doing is I don't think it'll be anything extra in terms of when they play us, they'll feel personally slighted by last year's result. I don't think they will look at Florida State unless we do something different this week against SMU where we scare them a little bit. They don't need the juice. They just need that the next opponent is up. We've been embarrassed by Georgia, and so we're trying to right the ship every single week by who we play. They look like that type of machine rather than opponent-specific motivations, rivalry motivations. They've got that look right now.
Candidates for because I don't have all the, let's see here, 7 o'clock game for that night, buddy. Not a lot of these are listed just yet. Yeah, so we don't know. I don't know what that would be because there's a Friday night. Nope, that's not going to work. I'm trying to think of the best matchups that weekend. But Miami's at Cal.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's not. That week I'm not seeing great games that week that could be that primetime game that you're talking about.
I'd be interested to see what their secondary does against that quarterback. Because it felt like that secondary was for the taking last week. I didn't see anything on Saturday that told me otherwise. That interception is not because of excellent play. It's because of a poor play. So, yeah. See if we can run the ball this weekend and do so in a straight-up fashion. Right straight ahead, north and south.
Just got done starting the game that way. There was a real sort of sense that, okay, we figured it out a little bit here. Let's go. Inside zone, hat on a hat. Let's make it happen. No long, slow developing plays. Let's hit it up in there. All that jet motion, we're going to get you looking around and confused and pause you, get the linebacker to slow up a little bit. Here we go. Get you some. And then it kind of went away.
Yeah.
All just sort of dissipated quickly.
He did have 200 yards in the first half.
You finished with less than 300 yards.
That's right.
Again.
You had a $130 too in the first 17, 18 minutes of the game.
Again. I mean,
you did give 20 back with the kneels, so maybe kind of sort of.
All right. All right, I'll give you that.
I'm not asking for it, but I mean, it's just that is there.
A lot of 20 back with the kneels. Was it that many?
Well, at least in the official game book, the first kneel was -10, and the next two were -5.
Mike, if we're trying to make incremental improvements, get him up under center and let him take that knee.
The other thing, that, NFL quarterbacks care greatly about that. Tom Brady cared big time about that. People were booing Justin Wilcox for calling timeouts. If you're having to execute a pistol snap,
yes,
for you call every timeout you have.
Absolutely, you should. Yes.
Something can go wrong with that.
Have you seen this incompetent ass offense? I would trust that I was going to get the ball back. I'd be like, we're going to make a play here. You watch them screw this up. Pitch and Penny Pools and Spas have everything you need for pool maintenance, chemicals, cleaners, pumps, vacuums, nets, covers, everything, anything and everything. And they already have the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the entire city, which is cool. You got the 5-seater that I've been talking about that's over there as well. Pitch Pools and Spas, by the way, will come out and pick up your old dilapidated hot tub as well, give you some value for it. You put it towards the new hot tub, maybe the 5-seater aforementioned. Pitch Pools and Spas, if you're ready to relax, they're ready to show you how.
Maddie, did you hear Grassroots Coffee is now the official coffee of FSU's NIL collective, The Battle's End?
Yes, I've heard tons of people talking about it and the new coffee, Battle's End Blend.
Yeah, every time you buy a bag of Battle's End Blend specialty coffee, you help support FSU athletes and help our Noles be more competitive.
Every time I buy a bag?
Anytime anyone buys a bag, retail or wholesale for business. Just imagine how much impact we can have if every time FSU alumni and fans take a sip of coffee, FSU athletes benefit.
Just go to grassrootscoffee.com, select Battles and Blend, and the size and grind setting you want. And if you have a coffee shop, restaurant, or even a business that has coffee in the break room, you can buy it wholesale at Grassroots Wholesale Portal, grassrootscoffeeroasters.com.
Locally owned, locally roasted, locally loved, and committed to our Knowles. Grassroots Coffee.
So good.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like ABC Flooring, Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme, or Keith Lawson Services, providing professional services and maintenance for your home's most critical systems for over 39 years. If you need air conditioning, heating, or plumbing repairs, you will receive an upfront written quote, and the job will be done on time by the area's most advanced, highly trained professionals. Keith Lawson Services, Florida license CMC 125456 and CFC 1429-197.
Foreman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to FinChiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at FinChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Fin Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to FinChiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There's even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to FinChiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to FinChiro.com.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments
to Flight 101
to annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by Shannon Young with Fairway Mortgage Corporation. He's so good, he's even got Jimbo's Christmas tree pre-approved for a new home. Visit loansforknowles.com.
Jeff Cameron Show on a Monday. We're looking at scheduling conflicts coming up this week, man. This storm is a doozy in the making. Don't want to be alarmist and over the top, but certainly I think we're going to have to make some tough decisions by Wednesday. Want to get that out there and give everybody a heads up. We'll see. Again, I don't want to assume anything, and I'm certainly no expert, but what I'm reading today and what you've seen today and what we're continuing to get updated on is not good.
Yeah, so I think the decisions will have to be made tomorrow in terms of where we will be physically.
Yeah.
You know, relative to the storm, staying, you're going, and any of that stuff. So we will have answers on that in the next 24 hours. You got to have a plan by then, or else it's too late at that point. You know, roads are crowded, like you're talking about, grocery stores and so forth. It could be a major. It's could very well be a major hurricane that hits in the Big Bend area later half of this week.
Hog Watcher says, you guys need to get to Dallas. The team needs you. Live shows from Dallas. Yeah, you know, I originally had planned to make it on into Dallas. Love that area. Love the Dallas-Fort Worth area quite a bit. tough to leave a lot behind and go to Dallas for a football game with this, admittedly, lurking. It's kind of hard to do right now. I feel like, which way do we go? Where do we go? Vegas? We can be like the Pac-12 commissioner. All right. Everything is F tier, guys. I know that. Let's meet in Vegas and we'll have our conference meeting. We'll do it up right. We just have our Jeff Cameron Show Warchant meetings in Vegas.
I know that there's a lot of chatter that Memphis, Tulane, and USF were going to join the Pac-12. Like they were going to be brought in together. They just released a statement saying that they're sticking together as a group of 3. I don't know if that means they're committed to the Pac or not. Weird. Tulane and Memphis and USF are on speed dial with each other. They are a unit. They are an alliance stronger than the one that Jim Phillips formed with the Big Ten.
An alliance. I love that. Yes, USF, it's Memphis. Oh, hey, buddy. You should know that Tulane is on the horn with us. Oh, better yet. What are we going to do? What do you think? Pac-12, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, no, I don't know. I do think they're going to be playing football one way or the other Saturday, and I do think, to spin a little bit of positivity on all of this, Florida State has a very good chance to beat SMU. And it's for the same reason that we thought they might beat Memphis. Of course, they did not. And for the same reason, Tom, that you and I, in the pregame show, I almost called you early this morning and told you to go get the sound clip, the sound bites, because we nailed the pregame show prediction with if Florida State's going to win, it's going to have to be a very low-scoring game.
Indeed.
Both of us talked about we thought they could dominate Cal's offensive line. They did. We thought that Cal's defense would be buttoned up. They pretty much were. At least buttoned up enough to beat us on offense, which doesn't take a lot. And that in doing so, we'd have an opportunity to maybe play a very low-scoring game and eke it out. And it happened. Now, that's not a pound-your-chest moment, but that played out in a way that we thought possible. And I think if you look at the lines of scrimmage in this game as well, I know what SMU is fresh off of, what they just did this past weekend. But I think it's a very similar thing where, again, if Josh Farmer and Patrick Payton and those guys, Darrell Jackson, if they're going to dominate the line of scrimmage, everything about football, as we well know, watching our offensive line not be able to block it up, we're very familiar with this, becomes just an absolute burden. It's so hard to move the football when you cannot reliably play to neutrality even on the offensive line. If that's the case, we could see, surprisingly, a relatively low-scoring game again here. I think Florida State could win this game, maybe score in the 20s again, or I should say score in the 20s, period.
It'd be nice to get there.
Yeah.
Should we hold a mini party? Should we have a live stream for 20 seconds?
If they scored in the 20s?
Just a 20-second live stream.
The old averaging 15 points a game's not doing it for you?
Yeah, and it's 20 seconds of us going, woo! Yes, sir! 20 points. A little bit more animated than that, maybe. But I don't know. It's 20 points.
Well, let's see. Obviously, we scored the 21 against Georgia Tech with that shoddy defense at G-Tech giving up 21 to us. And then we had 13, then we had 12, and then we had 14. The old 13, 12, and 14 back-to-back games. It's toughy. So SMU, what if we reach 24 points? 24 points.
Percentage chance we win the football game scoring 24 points.
60.
You like better than a coin flip. Okay.
24, 23, 24, 21.
The whole thing is to see with SMU, because the game they played against BYU set football back by a long way. And I get that BYU scored a ranked upset this weekend. But
38-7, I think it was, or 14.
That was an odd night of the week. We all watched it, right? I mean, I know I did.
The 18-15 game?
Yes.
Yeah, it was hideous. Yeah.
Yeah. What they've done with their offense since then, I get they had Stone, but they worked in the other kid. Is it Jennings is his name?
I think so,
I got to go
yes.
back and start to watch them. But they obviously said enough with Stone, which was crazy because he was supposed to be the guy. But that O-line was terrible.
That's why we were worried about him.
Yeah. So many non-offensive touchdowns this weekend for them too. But you got to see Is it about TCU being god-awful, or is it about them finding something that's going to give us a problem with our communication and so forth?
Remember this. They scored 29 points against a really bad Nevada team. I don't count the Houston Christian game. That's not a real football program. So the 3 games they've played are Nevada, BYU, and TCU. They scored 29 points against Nevada. That's not a great team. They lost and scored 15 points against BYU. And then obviously they crushed TCU. By the way, Sonny Dice got thrown out of that game. I don't know what he did, but he got tossed. It's rare that a college coach gets thrown out of a game.
He was coaching against his former team. Maybe there's a little extra embarrassment there. I don't know.
He got thrown out. ACC Network, kids, 8 p.m.
Those commercials, baby. The best in the business.
ACC Network, prime time. Well, a lot of people will not see this game. Unlike the Clemson game the following week, a lot of people will not see this game. If we did an impromptu, and we're not going to, but if we were to do an impromptu W's and L's, if you were going to be optimistic about the win total, which currently sits at 1-3, you would have to include this as a win. The at Duke would be a win. Hosting North Carolina would have to be a win. In Charleston Southern and Florida. Those would all have to be wins because you're not beating Clemson. You're not beating Miami. You're not going to beat Notre Dame. And the rest of these are kind of coin flippy.
Yeah, but I'm happy. I'm excited for coin flips right now. I take that. I mean, really. Like, the way I felt about the game on Saturday was it's better than the alternative. This is better than 0-4. If you're going to play that way, and we're going to be frustrated with the way that the game went, I'd rather be frustrated at 1-3 because 0-4, you're staring 0-6 in the face at that point.
Oh, yes.
Because you trip up on the road in Dallas, I mean, you're looking at 0-6. So, okay, now here's the baby step. What do you do with it? Anything? Anything material? That's the question for this week.
I think that defensively, you certainly know they've got to feel some confidence right now. I certainly thought that they, for lack of a better term, this is not meant to be offensive, but they dumbed down the defense to its simplest forms, and we seem to be able to execute that. That's not a shot at people. It's obviously communication issues have plagued this defense, so you just got to let athletes play fast and be physical.
Well, that communication issues are an issue is a shot, and it should be.
Oh, that part. Yeah, that part of it is a shot.
Good
yeah,
freaking Lord.
But I'm saying, like, we've simplified this defense as much as you possibly can. So, I mean, you're probably there right now with the offense and simplifying the offense about as much as you can and still have some semblance of an offense.
I think it's simpler to run straight ahead than it is to run counter.
That's what I mean. They ran the counter off of the downhill running straight ahead.
Yeah, but then they started a bunch of series with it later in the game. A lot of first down calls with counter.
Well, because that's the basis of his offense, and he figures that at some point they're going to be able to do it.
All right, we can do it now. I don't know.
No, not really. Not really, my friend.
It's hurtful.
All of it. It's I know I'm a broken record right now. I'm just trying to get I want to get mentally prepared for what I think is coming, but I do think they can win this week. And also, admittedly, I'm distracted by this storm. Not gonna lie.
No, agreed. But this is the thing that's worth revisiting because everybody's calling for a quarterback change.
Which I would do.
I was as well. I had lost it by halftime of Saturday's game because of that drive with a couple minutes to go and just some basic things that are being missed. Like there's certain things that you are missing. If you still can't do this,
right? Right.
And we're a third of the way through the season now, and I can't trust that you can do some of the very basic stuff. Then why are we doing this dance? If he was a redshirt freshman, all day, make all the mistakes, make the bad
learn
reads,
from them. We'll
see
you improve the following week. Right.
That's the thing here is Jabril Rawls busted a coverage. Edwin Joseph made a few mistakes. KJ Kirkland let a guy cross his face in a situation when I don't know how you do because you have another teammate next to you to make a tackle on a third down.
Side note, Jabril Rawls, nice play, special teams.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not singling him out saying he's no good. I'm saying
I get it. I just wanted to give him a quick prop. That was nicely done.
If you're a fifth-year player and you're making those mistakes, we can't get better from that as a program. But if you're a first or second-year player making those mistakes, there's a possibility that we can get better. but you're still going to make those mistakes, and it's worth it. It's worth the trade-off. And if you lose a football game because of it, it's worth the trade-off. And that's the stance I have personally with Brock. Maybe it looks a lot better. I know everybody hopes that the backup quarterback unlocks this thing that's euphoric. I'm not sure it will, but at least there's a chance for the program to get better over the next year and a half by making the move, and it's worth the risk.
I would argue that it's almost impossible to look worse offensively than what this team has looked up through 4 games at this point. And that's true of the quarterback, right? So while I agree that they're not going to suddenly start winning a bunch of games because they changed the quarterback, the way you call offensive plays, the way you scheme changes with Brock in the game because of the mobility.
Yeah.
You could make it the centerpiece of what you're trying to do. Look at a lot of what we call gimmicky offenses and broken offenses. Many of them have some success simply by having a quarterback that can move. It's annoying. Like when you face an offense like that and you're the better team and they've just got a guy that can run around. I'm not saying Brock is like Jordan Travis. He's not. But you see just plus mobile ability, right? Just plus mobility. All around the country, you'll see a guy that's just like, you're like, well, this guy, I mean, he's going to have to get a lot better throwing the ball. He's pretty average. He doesn't really read it all that well. And the next thing you know, he's running for 18 yards. You're like, man, that's a tough break. He did everything right there. He just made somebody miss and ran for 18 yards. And the next thing you know, they're in plus territory and they've flipped the field position at the very least. They've possessed the ball for a little while. And it's so frustrating to face kids like that who you're like, well, we're better than this team, but this kid keeps making some plays. You would have that.
Yes, the way to argue for Brock is to ask this question. What are we running with DJ that we cannot run with Brock?
Correct.
What principles are we asking DJ to execute that
Brock would do worse?
Advanced enough, or like you're taking something away. What are you taking away offensively with DJ coming off the field? The deep ball? Well, we don't hit it with any consistency. We've tried like 5 times this year. We've hit 1. All right. So you don't hit that with any consistency. You can't trust it. Is it the sprint out throw to the far side of the field? Sure. DJ can make that throw. Joe Flacco can make that throw. Not many others have the prime Ben Roethlisberger can make that throw.
Sure.
Okay, maybe you lose that. Otherwise, it's quick game. It's RPO glance. It's RPOs.
All the read options.
Mm-hmm. Which we don't. The quarterback run is not honored.
But it will be now. It will be now.
Like what else? There might be one element, which is that far side of the field throw, which he's exceptional at. But anything else?
No, I'm with you. You're right. You're not running some terribly complex system that it requires a 5th-year quarterback to execute. You're right. It's why, Tom, you might want some tequila. When you watch our football games, you might need some tequila. If you're watching on the screen right now, you can get the Battles In variety, Cambio. This is the tequila reposado. You can get that on the battlesin.com right there. You see it right there? I'm tempted to open it. I'm tempted to open it on a Monday afternoon.
On a Balls McMonday.
There it is, guys. Isn't that a beautiful bottle, too?
Maybe that's what you should call Mondays after a loss. Now, this is a win.
Monday?
No, Balls McMonday.
I'm going to call it Tequila Monday. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Woodville 10-year-old is facing a felony charge after his father turned him in Thursday for threatening to shoot up Wakulla High School. The child's arrest comes after a school resource officer was alerted about a social media threat around 4 p.m. Wednesday by Wakulla High staff. A high school student reported that he had participated in a Snapchat conversation with an unidentified person who stated, "Yes, I'm finna shoot up your school. It's y'all's last day." Law enforcement spent that day and early Thursday morning investigating to identify the source and location of the threat. A school resource officer and FDLE special agents made contact with the 10-year-old at his home in Leon County and interviewed him. Deputies informed school officials that there was not a threat to school and that the 10-year-old would be charged. The child's father turned him in on Thursday. The news comes after a slew of arrests were made within the past 2 weeks in connection to local school threats since the shooting at Appalachia High School. This is Rachel Anae with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
All eyes on the tropics this week as we continue to watch an area in the Caribbean that could potentially have impacts along the Gulf Coast this week. Continue to monitor and keep up with the latest forecast and make sure you're prepared just in case. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 70. Tuesday, sunny, slight chance of a stray shower, high of 93. 50% chance of rain on Wednesday, high near 90. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123, or visit us online at metalroofing.net.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-345-2789. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-345-2789. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-345-2789. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-345-2789. 800-345-2789 or biglou.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You got to turn me on. There you go. Boom.
I don't?
I'll answer that question as well as this question. 1625 was the answer for the NOM Hog Watcher. Yeah, so, like a $60 bottle. Anyhow, this Ian writes, why is he not going to Brock? Is Brock just that bad? I've got a couple of theories on it. Rick, you're hitting on one of them. Mike is protecting Brock. Maybe he should be. He would know better than all of us. Maybe that's true. Maybe he is protecting Brock from an offensive line that is not very good, from a receiving core that doesn't get a ton of separation, doesn't make a ton of plays, a tight end who can't block and drops when he does get open, most of the throws to him, a running game that's fairly non-existent until this past weekend, a little hint of success there. Maybe he figures that he'd be putting him into another untenable situation just as he did in the late hour against Louisville, and then, of course, what happened thrown to the wolves against Georgia. Untenable situation, and he feels like this will be something similar because so much is broken around him. Tom and I discussed that today. Perhaps. Part of it, though, I agree with Ira. I think there may be some stubbornness to all this, too. I mean, he went out and he made the decision that the team didn't have to take a step back, that they didn't have to take the lumps that a first-year starter guarantees you're going to take. When you decide to stay status quo with a Brock Glenn, let's say in the offseason, if that's the decision you make, you're accepting, an 8-4 type season, 9-3, 8-4, 7-5 is your groupings that you would most likely say. And so I think in that moment, you're kind of talking about, I don't want to take a step back. We just won 13 games, just won the conference, just went undefeated, just got snubbed. Screw these people. I've built this program into something here. In fact, if we could just find a few players to replace those that were NFL bound off that 13-0 team, and if I could find a guy that's played a lot of football at quarterback, I don't need him to be great. I just need him to be decent. I'll run the ball and we'll go from there. And maybe we don't take a big step back. Maybe we sustain double-digit wins. I think that was the mindset. And so you'd made all those moves. You decided to not take your lumps, to not let all the young kids play right away and go through a transitional year where you lose 4 or 5 games and let the kid kind of figure it out. You're trying to avoid that. And what a disastrous decision it's turned out to be. Coaches are nothing if not extremely stubborn. So there's a mixture of, I want to protect the kid because we're not doing nearly the things that I thought we could do. But at the same time, I feel like we're this close. I've schemed this open. I've schemed that open. He's just not seeing it. At some point, he's going to see it. I know he is. And you stick by a guy who's not really showing you any indicator that you should. Coaches don't like to be told what to do by the media. They don't like to be told what to do by fans. And they tend to dig their heels in. I don't know if it's that. It's certainly a theory or a suggestion one might have, and it's not crazy. It's not out in left field. I've seen coaches do this, lots of them. But it could be a combination of all those things. Like, I'm going to put Brock in. I've already put him in 2 bad situations. This would be a 3rd bad situation I put him in, and I don't know that it makes us appreciably better right now if I do. So DJ's not going to be here next year. DJ's, it's a one-and-done deal. I let him take these ass kickings. It could very well be that.
You better communicate that to Brock, though, if that's the case. Like, you have to have the conversation with Brock so that Brock doesn't get disgruntled and think about piecing, And you have to trust Brock that he won't tell anybody else that, too. So that's the problem. I don't think you can just do that and hope he understands what you're doing for him because he wants to play. Otherwise, he's going to want to play and say, well, I can do better than this.
Well, right. You really do run a risk when your team is 100 and whatever in the country, 126, 127th in this, 108th in this, 109th in that, 114th in this, 125th in this. I mean, when these are staggeringly bad numbers, as I said in hour number 1. So, hey, look, you watch that play out, you might say, well, these practices be damned. I mean, I know that I'm better than what I'm watching on Saturdays.
Again, this is, so Mark in the chat says Brock should be pushing for this. Maybe he isn't. Question so that's where clear-cut messaging can help you in this circumstance. Like, you can say that I'm protecting him without saying that to the media.
But you'd have to be careful, though.
But you'd have to be. You have all day. You have a department who can help you craft this answer to the question. You're going to get the question anyway, and he did today about are you still going to move forward with DJ? But if you answer it in a certain way on a Monday, then it's done. Like, the fans might not be happy with the answer.
Right, but they can't keep asking, right?
But the media can stop asking it, and it's not a storyline anymore. Like, that's the issue here to me. At some point, it becomes, hey, man, if you're going to pick DJ and you're going to ride with him and say, look, I don't care what y'all think on the outside, this is the best decision for me. You don't have to say it like that. Just go before the meeting and say, no, DJ's a starter. I don't know why you asked that question. He puts us in the best position to win. Yeah, I know your reaction. I know what the fans' reaction would be. But it's over. And then the locker room doesn't have to worry about it too. Because at some point, all the speculation, it's human nature for a friend or a family member or somebody in class if they go, if Brock's in a class this week and they're like, hey, man, what gives? Man, at least if Mike were to just be definitive, then you don't have to worry about that noise.
You can do that, but I also think in people have talked about this in the chat. They've asked about it. Everybody's asking about it. Mike's always been very creative, especially with things like the Wildcat.
That's the one to me.
Why don't we see any of that stuff? You have a running back that played quarterback in high school, can actually throw it around a little bit and can run. Throw off of that Wildcat formation, have him run, just change it up a little bit.
Buddy, it's like when they come here with that dual capability, you don't use it because Akers used to do that, and we never saw that. like, wow, you've got a guy who actually could specialize in both. Now, I don't know why. And Toafili was very good at it last year as well. I think in this case, they started running the ball. They started the game running the ball so well, They didn't feel like they needed to go to it. That would be my theory for this game.
Well, they've played 4 of them.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It's frustrating. Let's do some MLB probables here. Get ready to cue that sucker up. Some big games, man. Big games.
Light night.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching probables?
Cubs, Phillies, Nate Pearson. I was about to say Peterson, but it's Pearson. Aaron Nola goes for the Phillies. Red Sox, Blue Jays. You're right. It's a light night. Tanner Houck and Chris Bassett Mariners, Astros, Bryce Miller, Hunter Brown. Giants, D-backs, Hayden Birdsong, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Let's go Giants. Come on, Mr. Cameron and your squad.
My dad's squad, indeed.
Yep.
Giants have been all right. 77 and 79. Took it to the Orioles.
Saw them play 2 ball games this year in their home park.
Yes, you did.
Against your Pirates.
That is correct. I think you saw a split, right? You saw the one we won and the one we lost. Well, we lost the series, but I think we won.
You lost in extras on Saturday and then you won on Sunday, I think.
Tigers are the fun team to watch right now, buddy. It was sad to see. Did you see this news, man? This guy's been snake bit. Has nothing to do with baseball, but LSU linebacker Harold Perkins going to be out the rest of
ACL.
Man.
Yeah.
Is that second time now, right? This
That
poor
dude,
bastard,
I
man.
know.
That's rough. Auburn, by the way, speaking of things that are sad or brutal to watch, that Auburn program is a nightmare. Couldn't happen to a nice guy
who continues to hang the players out to dry.
And then has those players on Twitter killing him. Did you see that over the weekend?
Yep.
Maybe he didn't change who he was.
Maybe not.
Maybe nobody does.
What was that number again? 813.
Oh man, yeah. I remember somebody got mad at me. We were on the air and I was making fun of him because he came back like a lot of people do after they get busted for doing unsavory things and went all God. They went all in.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, people can change Jeff. You don't give them a chance. Yeah, he ain't changing.
What, did you get a voicemail?
Oh yeah, some guy was furious.
Is that how the voicemail sounded?
Nah, I'm just I don't know why you don't like Hugh Freeze. I'm like,
Section C. Different program in the state, same point.
Oh yeah, no. Hey guys, you could also get this kind of tequila, a little bit different here.
You're slinging some goods today.
This is the Blanco, guys. This is the Blanco here. This might be what does it for you. Little 92 proof there for that. Also at the Battle's End, guys. We're going to need to buy lots of bricks, lots of tequila, lots of shirts. Uh-oh. I missed it right here towards the end. What do we got? No, Kev, I'm not here to try to talk you off the ledge, my man. I'd love to, but this week it hurt me, if you guys can't tell.
Yeah, this was a different Monday morning phone call than I've gotten in a long time.
I wanted to throw things. I don't throw things anymore, but man, this whole that game was
bollocks.
Bollocks.
Can you say that in America? I'm sure you can say it in America.
Absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely bollocks. It was everything. I knew you saw it because I know you go back and watch, and I had to believe. I was like, my man's watching this, and he's got to be furious.
I saw it thrice before we signed on.
Woo! Yeah. No, sir. Have a great night, everybody. Be well. Don't forget about the Smash tonight at 7. Peace.